Important update about YouTube playlists. Hey everyone. We've received many messages asking why our YouTube playlists aren't showing up. Do we create YouTube playlists? Yes, we absolutely do. So why can't you see them? Honestly, we're not sure. We've been in contact with YouTube support for several months now, but we still haven't received a clear answer or solution. After much discussion, our team has decided to take matters into our own hands. We believe the issue might be related to the number of playlists we've created on a single channel, possibly too many. Our solution? We're launching 2 additional YouTube channels, giving us a total of 3. This way, we can organize our audiobooks better and avoid the playlist visibility issue in the future. This change only affects our YouTube audience. If you're a patron supporter, you can still access all our audiobooks by visiting the collection menu on Patreon. Thanks so much for your time and continued support. Happy listening. You're here too? Doing your student council work properly? Of course. Rinji's been diligent and reliable in all his duties as treasurer. Shirage nodded. Good to hear. Kaya nodded in satisfaction and handed over a document. As for the welcome party, the student council doesn't have too much to prepare. But when it comes to what's being procured, make sure it reflects Japanese culture. Any specific requests? Since this is a cultural exchange between countries, try to prepare something that represents Japan. I got it. Rinji clapped his hands and looked confidently at Kaya. It's porn, right? The hell it is. Kaya slammed a fist into Rinji's head without hesitation, then turned to the other members. This kid just got back to Japan not long ago. His understanding of the culture's a little off. No worries. We understand. Just pick things like traditional Japanese sweets. If anyone here is familiar with those, feel free to take charge. No problem. All student council members need to be present for the welcome party. However, Kaya glanced at Rinji. Rinji, you don't have to go. Huh? Why? Rinji stood up to protest. I'm the treasurer. Of course I should be there. Can you speak French? No. Then what would you do there? Hold down the fort. Not necessary. You're also a foreign exchange student yourself, no need to attend the event for students from another country. But I must attend. This is a rare opportunity to represent. Kaya cut him off, pointing at him. Your next line is, finally, it's my favorite time, mocking France. Finally, it's my favorite time, mocking Afar. Wait, what? Rinji stared at her in horror. Before he could say anything else, Kaya grabbed his face in one palm. No. You are not going. Okay. Sigh. Anyway, I'll talk to the principal about the late notice. You just focus on doing your best. Understood. Good. Then I'll be off. Releasing Rinji, Kaya turned and left the office. Rinji rubbed his face and sat back down beside the president. So, Shinamiya's still handling the procurement? Naturally. Kaguya smiled. I was raised in a very traditional Japanese household. I'm quite familiar with the kinds of things we'll need. But there's going to be a lot to buy, right? Can one person really carry it all? Fujiwara looked concerned. How about one of the boys goes with you? Takamon-kun, maybe. No. Rinji quickly shut her down. I'm busy this weekend. And being alone with the Shinamiya heiress? That's a recipe for disaster. Rinji-kun, are you and Kaguya really that incompatible? At least for now. Rinji said with a grin. Besides, I'm not the only guy in the student council. With that, he gave Shirage a firm slap on the back. Right, President? Huh? Oh, yeah, makes sense. Catching Rinji's look, Shirage realized. This was a golden opportunity. Going shopping with Kaguya. That was basically a date. Chapter 71, The Lethal Power of Wigs. Say, Secretary Fujiwara, what exactly is all this stuff for? Cosplay, of course. I know it's for cosplay. What I don't get is why. Inside the student council office, Rinji looked speechlessly at the large box of props Fujiwara had brought. Inside were costumes, wigs, and accessories. Since we're welcoming French exchange students, cosplay is a must. She said cheerfully. France's cosplay scene is second only to Japan's, you know. I have no idea where you got that rumor. Isn't France known for romance? And surrender? Don't say that. My mother's a diplomat. She's deeply knowledgeable about foreign cultures. She wouldn't lie. Still wearing that innocent smile, Fujiwara pulled out a cat ear headband and plopped it on Rinji's head. Aw. So cute. She beamed as she nodded at the cat ears perched on Rinji's head. Ridiculous. Cat ears don't suit a macho man like me. I think they look great on you, Takamon-kun. Kaguya giggled on the side. Truly adorable. Rinji glanced at Kaguya, then calmly removed the headband and slapped it onto her head. Ah! Looks great on you, Shinamiya Haim. Geez, Rinji-kun. You should treat girls a little more gently. If I wasn't being gentle, it wouldn't be cat ears on your head. It'd be a chamber pot. Ignoring Shinamiya Kaguya, Rinji began rummaging through the box. Secretary Fujiwara, where did you get all this stuff? Oh. I borrowed it from the drama club. We have to return it after we're done. So that means by Monday? I honestly think there's no need to do any cosplay at all. We should just keep the welcome party simple. Rinji turned to Shirogane. President, what do you think? President? At this moment, Shirogane Miyuki's eyes were bloodshot as he stared fixedly at Kaguya Shinamiya, who was still wearing the cat ears. His whole body trembled at a high frequency, muttering under his breath. President, what are you doing? President. Ah, Treasurer Rinji. I was asking you about the French exchange student welcome party. Rinji spoke a few more sentences, but Shirogane continued staring at Kaguya. Turning his head, Rinji glanced toward her. So you also think the cat ears don't suit the Shinamiya heiress, right? I mean, she's not that young anymore. Who are you calling not young? I'm only 17, still in the prime of my youth and beauty. Kaguya shouted indignantly. But after observing Shirogane's expression carefully, she noticed there wasn't any distinct reaction from him, which left her a little disappointed. Well, I guess cat ears only work on cute girls like Fujiwara. Meanwhile, Fujiwara Chika was smiling as she rummaged through the box. At last, she pulled out a golden wig. Ah! Found it! What did you find? Takuman-kun, come here. Chika waved him over with a mischievous grin on her face. I'm not coming. Seeing the wig in her hands, Rinji seemed to recall some unpleasant memory and instinctively took 2 steps back. Then I'll come to you. Don't come any closer. Chika chased him into a corner with the wig, trying to put it on his head. Fortunately, Rinji managed to grab her hands just in time. Come on. Just wear it for a bit. Stop it. I don't even want to wear it for a second. I just want to take one picture, it'll be quick. You even want to take pictures? No way. Okay, both of you, enough already. Shirogane stepped between them with a smile. This is just the student council room, no outsiders will see. Besides, even if you wear a wig, no one's going to think anything of it. Exactly. Kaguya chimed in with a smile. A real man stays a man, even with a wig. Don't tell me you're lacking confidence, Takuman-kun? You're the one lacking confidence. Grumbling, Rinji snatched the wig and plopped it on his own head. There, satisfied. You guys. Hey, say something. The 3 other student council members stared at him in stunned silence. With long hair, Rinji looked stunning. Even knowing he was a guy, his appearance was captivating enough to daze anyone. Rinji. President, I trust your judgment. Please give me an honest evaluation. Though shocked by how attractive Rinji suddenly looked, Shirogane saw the expectation in his eyes and steeled himself. He may be beautiful, but he's still a guy. He trusts me the most in this student council. I can't let him down. He stepped forward and placed both hands on Rinji's shoulders. I believe that no matter what you look like, Rinji, you're still an unquestionable man. Now that's a president. I knew you were different from all those fools. Satisfied with the answer, Rinji hugged Shirogane and gave him a few firm pats on the back. What he didn't notice, however, was that Shirogane's face was a little flushed. And note, with how the fics playing out, should I replace the harem with reverse harem? Shinamiya Kaguya's expression darkened rapidly. No way. She immediately rushed forward and yanked the wig off Rinji's head. Shinamiya, why so aggressive all of a sudden? Nothing. Nothing at all. She balled up the wig and tossed it aside, pretending to look away as if nothing had happened. Meanwhile, Fujiwara Chika was staring at her phone, nose bleeding. Secretary Fujiwara Rinji glared at her with a wicked smile on his lips. You just took a picture, didn't you? I didn't. Give me your phone. No. Oh. Tears welling up in her eyes, Fujiwara reluctantly handed over her phone. Rinji flipped through it and found a picture of him hugging Shirogane. Now that I look at it, I really do take after my mom in the looks department. He pressed delete. Chapter 72, The Student Council's New Member President. Let me introduce you. This is Ishigami Yulu. Hello, President Shirogane. Oh, hello. After school, Takuman Rinji brought Ishigami to the student council room. Meeting Shirogane and the others, Ishigami looked a little nervous. The student council at Shuchin Academy had a reputation for being full of elites. For someone like him, who was almost invisible in his class, it was only natural to feel out of place. Don't be so nervous. The student council's not that serious of a place. Rinji patted him on the shoulder. Rinji's right. No need to be tense. Shirogane smiled. Truth is, we've got a lot of work lately, so we were hoping to find someone to help with miscellaneous tasks. I'm honored to be invited to the student council, but can I really join? I'm not much of a leader, and my grades are terrible. President. Before Ishigami could finish, Fujiwara Chika stepped up. Just let him join. I think it's totally fine. You just want someone with worse grades than you in the council. Among the 4 current members, Fujiwara had the lowest grades. If Ishigami joined, she'd no longer be at the bottom. What matters is your opinion, Ishigami-kun. Shirogane said. Would you like to join? Yes, I would. Great. You'll be handling general duties in the student council. Got it. Perfect. Ishigami. Rinji said, patting him again, we'll be working together from now on. Right. Let me introduce the other members. Rinji pointed at Shirogane. This is the president. You've probably seen him giving speeches before. The one with pink hair is Fujiwara Chika, the secretary. Hello, Secretary Fujiwara. Ishigami bowed. Welcome to the council. Ishigami-kun, our new errand guy. Okay, now that you've met everyone, we'll show you around. Wait a minute. Kaguya, sitting on the sofa, suddenly stood up. You haven't introduced me yet. Do I really need to? Of course you do. Nice to meet you, Vice President Shinomiya. Ishigami said quickly. I've seen you during student assemblies. You're the one standing next to President Shirogane. Well, there was no hidden meaning in his words. At school assemblies, it was always Shirogane speaking while Kaguya stood beside him. But to her ears, standing by the president's side, I thought Takuman-kun was bringing in some random guy, but he's actually quite a good kid. Kaguya drifted into her own thoughts. Anyway, that's Shinomiya Kaguya, Vice President of the Student Council. Her job is drinking tea. Drinking tea is not my job. Every time I walk in here, you're drinking tea. Isn't that your job? Of course not. I assist the president. Just because you don't see me working doesn't mean I'm not. Wow. You actually do work? That look of shock is really getting on my nerves. Shinomiya's helped me a lot. She takes her work seriously. Shirogane interjected with a smile. Then he pulled out his phone. Now that you're in the student council, let's get you in the line group. Makes task assignment easier. Okay. Ishigami nodded and took out his own phone. Seeing Shirogane's phone, Fujiwara was stunned. Huh? President, you have a phone? Not just Fujiwara. Even Kaguya looked surprised. Back when the student council had only 3 members, they'd never seen Shirogane use a phone. Oh, it's Rinji's. He lent it to me. Works pretty well. Never seen that model before. Fujiwara marveled at the unfamiliar phone. It didn't even have a brand logo. Kaguya didn't think much of it. She wasn't very knowledgeable about electronics. But Shirogane suddenly having a phone did throw a wrench into some of her plans. In her original plan, she was going to have her estate's staff pose as vendors along Shirogane Miyuki's usual shopping route and trick him into buying a phone that was priced even below manufacturing cost. This would serve as a starting point to guide him into giving her his personal information. Later, she could even swap parts like the battery under the pretense of malfunction to further her ends. But now that Shirogane had received a new phone from Takuman Rinji, her meticulously crafted scheme had completely collapsed. Takuman Rinji. He always seems to accidentally ruin my plans. Could he be doing it on purpose? Definitely not. It was all just an unfortunate string of coincidences. And now that the president's added everyone directly into a group chat, it means he doesn't even need to ask me for my contact info anymore. Still, Kaguya Shinomiya took out her phone. But the moment she did, the rest of the student council stared at her in shock. What's wrong? Kaguya. Fujiwara Chika said softly. Huh? That's your phone? Yes, is there something wrong with it? Well. Chika hesitated, that's a flip phone, right? You can't use Line on that. Line only works on smartphones. Indeed, the phone in Kaguya's hand was an old flip phone. It might have been high-end a decade ago, but in today's smartphone-dominated age, it looked completely outdated. Why don't you just get a new one now? No way. I've had this phone since I was a kid. I'm too attached to it to replace it. At that moment, her eyes lit up. Right. If I can't use Line, then I can get the president to contact me directly by email instead. That could work too. Miss Shinomiya. Rinji interjected, just exchange email addresses with the president. It's for work, after all. Kaguya. Rinji. Why is it always you? Chapter 73, he went to the president's house again? Saturday, a day when students should have been resting at home, But the student council was still busy preparing for the welcome party for the French exchange student. As usual, Shire again was working in the student council room. The task of setting up the auditorium was given to the two boys, Rinji and Ishigami. As for Kaguya and Fujiwara, they might have been busy with other things. Or just slacking off. Either way, it wasn't Rinji's concern. "Rinji, I'm going to go grab the rest of the supplies. You stay here and wait." "Sure, go ahead." Once Ishigami left, Rinji continued arranging the tables and chairs. At that moment, Sakurakaya walked into the auditorium and smiled warmly at the sight of Rinji hard at work. "Rinji, I used to worry you'd struggle adjusting to school life, but I'm starting to feel reassured now. I still haven't adjusted. But at least I'm content with the atmosphere here." Rinji casually pushed a large round table into place and laid a cloth over it. Then he looked back at Sakura. "The student council is a noisy bunch, but they're good people. Working here makes me feel a little lighter inside." "I'm glad to hear that. I really hope you can grow a little during your time at Shuchen. That might disappoint you, Aunt Kaya. I'm not someone who changes easily." Rinji kept working as he spoke. "My core hasn't changed just because I'm in a new environment. I'm still the same brutal person I used to be. The student council just forces me to hold it in. The moment I step out, I'm back to being the unforgivable bastard I always was. Not that I want to change anyway. Well, at the very least, I'm happy with how you've been behaving these days. Sure, you've done some dumb stuff, but you're a lot calmer than before." She had expected to watch Rinji like a hawk after placing him in Shuchen, worried he'd cause trouble. Aside from that one fight early on, though, he hadn't done anything problematic. She had to admit. The student council was an amazing place. It could even suppress someone like him. Later that night. It's finally over for today. Back at the estate, Kaguya threw on her pajamas and collapsed onto her bed. Was student council work that busy? It's just been especially hectic lately. The planning is handled by me and the president. The auditorium setup was given to the boys. As for Fujiwara, I don't think she did anything. Actually, she did. Fujiwara was responsible for notifying the volunteer students who'd be helping at the party. But since that was finished by Friday, her visit to the council on Saturday was just to watch others work. "I believe you're going shopping with the president tomorrow?" "Yes. I'm looking for." "I mean, what a troublesome task. You were about to say you're looking forward to it, weren't you?" Hayasaka had long gotten used to Kaguya's awkward personality. She didn't bother calling her out anymore when she insisted she had no romantic interest in the president. "So? Want me to text the president and set the meeting time?" "No." Kaguya turned her head defiantly. "I will never initiate contact with the president. If I text him first, it's like admitting I want to talk to him. That's absolutely unacceptable." Watching her stubborn expression, Hayasaka was briefly speechless. But she was used to this. "What if he doesn't message you?" "He will. I guarantee he'll message me at exactly 9:45 p.m. "That precise?" "Of course," Kaguya said confidently. "Most high schoolers sleep around 11:30 or midnight. I sleep at 10. So anything past 10 is unnatural. The president will message me right before 10. What's unnatural is your entire logic." Without comment, Hayasaka calmly picked up Kaguya's flip phone and began composing a message. "President, I'm looking forward to our shopping trip too." "What are you doing?" Kaguya snatched the phone away. "If you're so unwilling to message him, I'll do it for you." "You absolutely cannot message from my phone first." That's when Hayasaka realized something important. Kaguya was the kind of person who never broke her own rules. If she said she wouldn't send the first message, then no matter what, she wouldn't. But rules always have loopholes. "Miss Kaguya, if you won't text him, that's fine," Hayasaka said sharply. "Just call him." "Huh? If you call, it's not texting. It totally fits your rules." "Well, that's true, but..." While Kaguya hesitated, Hayasaka had already dialed the number. "There, it's done." "Wait." She shoved the phone into Kaguya's hands. The call was already connected. With no way out, Kaguya could only speak, trying to stay calm. Hello? Is this the president?" "It's me, Takuman Rinji." Kaguya's expression instantly collapsed. Takuman-kun? Why are you answering the president's phone?" Hayasaka, who'd been watching with a smirk, froze as well. It's totally normal to hang out at the president's place on a Saturday. In the background, she could hear the sound of a cooking stove and a range hood running. "I just came over to make dinner." "What's the problem, Miss Shinamiya?" "He's at the president's house again. And he's cooking dinner. It's like they're already a family." "Hello?" "And no. But why is the president's phone with you?" "Oh, he's in the shower." He asked me to answer if it rang. Probably thought it was a sales call. I haven't told him it yet. Want me to pass it to him? Or have him call you back? Kaguya fell into deep thought. Have the president call me back? That would make him the initiator. Sounds like a great idea. Then, tell him to contact me later. He has to message me first, okay? Got it, got it. Chapter 74, Fooled Again. Thanks a ton for today, Rinji. It's nothing. You worked so hard at school, then came here to cook too. I actually enjoy cooking. It's just that at home I'm always alone, and cooking for one isn't much fun. Rinji smiled. Besides, you guys are the ones washing the dishes. Carrying a bag of ingredients, Rinji walked back to Shiragane's somewhat run-down apartment with him. The ingredients were simple and discounted. After the ridiculously expensive meal last time, Shiragane had specifically told him not to buy anything fancy. Thankfully, even cheap ingredients were enough for Rinji to shine. You've been in the student council for nearly 2 months now, right? Yeah, if you count the month I was suspended, it's been about 2 months. Rinji chuckled. I originally thought you and Shinomiya would constantly clash, but it hasn't been nearly as bad as I imagined. From their interactions, Shiragane knew that Rinji had some past issues with the Shinomiya family. He thought their relationship would be full of hatred. But aside from some bickering, there hadn't been any real conflict. There's no real grudge between me and Miss Shinomiya. Rinji smiled. I'm grateful to everyone in the student council. Whether it's Fujiwara, who always tries to mess with me, or Shinomiya, who I usually can't stand. I'm still thankful for the kind of place the student council is. Even someone like me was accepted. I see. Honestly, I think your behavior is just a little eccentric, nothing more. That's because you haven't seen the cruel side of me, President. It would give you nightmares. Rinji gave a wry smile. But as long as I'm in the student council, you probably won't get the chance. Climbing the shaky iron staircase up to the second floor, Shiragane Miyuki unlocked the door with his key. Inside, only his younger sister was watching TV. When she heard him come in, she didn't even greet him. Shiragane was used to her rebellious phase by now. President's sister, sorry to intrude again, said Dakuman Rinji. Huh? Rinji, you came? Upon hearing his voice, K turned her head toward him. Yeah, I came over to make dinner today. Rinji smiled, holding up the plastic bag in his hand. Oh, and I brought this for you. He pulled out a delicately packaged Baumkuchen cake from the bag and handed it to K. Thanks. She took it with a flat expression, but the faint blush on her cheeks made it clear she was quite pleased. Don't eat that before dinner. Shiragane warned. You're so annoying when you micromanage. Faced with his sister's irritated glare, Shiragane sighed deeply. Who knew how long this rebellious streak would last? Rinji chuckled, save the cake for later. I guarantee the food I make will taste even better. Okay. Shiragane. Why do you listen to him? You're noisy. President. Rinji whispered beside him, you shouldn't be too direct with kids in their rebellious phase. It usually backfires. Did you ever have a rebellious phase, Rinji? Probably not. After putting the plastic bag in the kitchen, Rinji began prepping the ingredients with practiced ease. Since they got back later than usual due to student council work, Shiragane decided to take a bath before dinner. Once in the tub, he let out a long sigh of relief. Ha! Rinji really trusts me. But when it comes to Shinomiya, I haven't told him the truth. There were things he couldn't talk about. Especially his feelings for Kaguya Shinomiya. It wasn't that he didn't trust Rinji, it was more about his own pride. He didn't want to admit he had fallen for her first. Someone like Kaguya. Perfect in family background, appearance, and personality. If he admitted to liking her first, then he'd never even get the chance to stand as her equal. I have to become someone who can stand beside her. Knock knock knock. There was a knock at the bathroom door. Who is it? President, your phone rang. Can you answer it? It's probably just a telemarketer. Sure. 5 minutes later. President, the call's over. Rinji said. It was Miss Shinomiya. What? Shiragane leapt out of the tub. Why didn't you say so earlier? You told me to answer it. Right. What did she say? Not much. She said to call her back later. Probably something about your shopping trip tomorrow. Oh right. I'm supposed to go shopping with her tomorrow. We haven't even set a time yet. He quickly got dressed, came out of the bathroom, and took the phone from Rinji. Seeing her name in the call log, he immediately dialed back. It connected instantly. Hello? Hi? Shinomiya? President, about tomorrow's shopping trip. I got it. Let's meet at Honey Park at 10 a.m. then head to the mall nearby. Okay. And also. Beep. She hung up before he could finish. She hung up. Just send her the rest in a message. Rinji suggested. Aren't you trying to win her over? Send her something sweet like remember to drink warm water. I know how to do that. You seem really excited about tomorrow's shopping trip with her. You've been smiling this whole time. Indeed, Shiragane's face had been glowing with happiness. Ahem. I'm just relieved we'll finally be finishing the last part of the welcome event for the French exchange student. As expected of the president. Always thinking about work. No. Not really. Hearing Rinji's words, Shiragane felt a pang of guilt. He had lied to Rinji. Again. Chapter 75, Rainy Day How Wonderful, Kaguya-sama. Hayasaka, dressed in her maid uniform, watched Kaguya Shinomiya lie on the bed, legs kicking happily as her face was buried in a pillow. The president called you first, and he even sent the first text. Anyone could tell Kaguya was overjoyed. Better go to sleep early. You've got a big day with your favorite president tomorrow. He's not my favorite. Kaguya mumbled, face still buried in the pillow, voice barely audible. Hayasaka turned off the lights and left to return to her room. But just a few steps outside the door, she stopped and tapped her chin thoughtfully. If I remember right, tomorrow is. The next morning, at the president's house. The kitchen counter was filled with prepped plates. A gas burner was lit, and Renji stood in an apron, simmering something in a pot. Sorry to trouble you with breakfast too. It's no big deal. Shiragane's father stood behind him while Renji tended to the stove, making porridge. The night before, after dinner and some TV, Renji was about to head home when it got too late. Seeing the hour, Shiragane's dad simply told him to stay over for the night. The apartment they lived in was tiny. One small living room under 20 square meters, a bathroom, a kitchen, and a single bedroom. The bedroom was shared by Shiragane and K. The dad usually slept in the living room, so Renji had to bunk there with him. Ha! Kyondashi entered. Shiragane's dad was already sitting at the table. Renji had just served 2 bowls of seafood porridge. You're up early, Renji. Yeah, but the president was up even earlier. Renji said with a smile. The porridge wasn't ready yet, so I just made him some fried eggs and he went out. I see. Sat down, took a spoonful, and tasted it. Tastes okay. It's delicious. That's good. Looked a little dazed at Renji's warm smile. He was supposedly the student council treasurer and had known her brother for over a month now. 1 year older. And yet, the warmth he gave off felt like that of a family member. Almost like a big brother or even a parent. It really felt like they were a family. After breakfast, Shiragane's dad began doing the dishes. Renji leaned against the wall in the living room, planning to leave soon. But just then, he heard the soft tapping of raindrops on the roof. Followed by the heavy sound of a downpour. Looking out the window, the sky was overcast. Thick clouds had blocked out the morning sun, casting the entire district in shadow. It's raining. Looked out, worried. It wasn't just a drizzle. It was a heavy storm. Renji frowned and glanced at his phone. Shibuya Station is reportedly already flooded. So? My brother already left? Yeah. Putting his phone down, Renji gazed out at the rain, his eyes tinged with something nostalgic. Rain, huh? What an unpleasant weather. Uncle Amano. Calm down. It's you, Renji. Stay right there. Just listen to me calmly. Rain was falling steadily from the sky as the young Takuman Renji ran up to the rooftop. There, he saw a middle-aged man standing at the very edge, his face ashen and lifeless. Ignoring the raindrops drenching his clothes, Renji extended a hand and slowly stepped forward. Uncle Amano. Calm down. It's just some dirty tricks those bastards pulled. Renji clenched his teeth, forcing a smile. The company may be gone, but we can still start over. There's no need to throw your life away. The man looked at the anxious child still trying to comfort him and gave a bitter smile through his surprise. Renji, you're still young. It was my mistake to let you experience the darkness of society too soon. That's not true. I've already seen plenty of darkness. Renji inched closer to the man, his small face full of urgency. I can find a way to help repay your debts. It's not time to give up yet. As long as it's useless. The man shook his head. His expression was full of sorrow, and it was hard to tell whether the wetness on his face was from rain or tears. This time, the company that came after us is a subsidiary of the Shinomiya Group. We can't win against them. They've already investigated every detail about our employees. Most of our key staff were threatened and turned against me. Even the banks and members of the council are on their side. There's no way to beat them in Japan. Then we'll go abroad. Southeast Asia, maybe. Renji, thank you for the money you gave us back then. It helped us get through a hard time. And I'm sorry that all your investment is gone now. It doesn't matter. Renji smiled through the pain. That money meant nothing to me. I still have some left. We can still. I'm sorry. You bastard. Can't you trust me even just a little? I'm sorry. And with those last words, he suddenly leaned backward. Wait. The final thing Renji saw was the man's body falling, blood mixing with the rain, and the distant sound of sirens growing closer. Expressionless, Renji glanced down at the scene below, then pulled out his phone from his pocket. Hello? Uncle Sagra, can I go and kill the Shinomiya people now? I don't know what happened, but I advise you not to. The Shinomiya family controls the backbone of Japan's economy. It's easy to take them out, but if we do, our own assets in Japan will suffer devastating consequences. The stakes are too high. What about their subsidiaries? What exactly happened? Nothing much. Just lost my allowance. I felt like killing someone for fun, that's all. A twisted smile crept across Renji's face. Those people have never seen what a real villain looks like. Let them find out. I'm heading out. Takuman Renji picked up the umbrella by the entrance, slipped on his shoes, and opened the door. Huh? Renji, you're going out? No, just going to pick up the president. He went out without an umbrella. Wasn't he supposed to go shopping with someone? No, that person won't be showing up. Renji said calmly. Chapter 76, Trust Uncle Amano. I know you always kept all your pain, frustration, and bitterness bottled up. Whenever we talked, you smiled and said everything was fine. I knew those were lies, but I chose to believe them. Because if I trusted you, I believed you'd trust me too. That's what equal exchange is. The young Takuman Renji stood in the rain, staring at the middle-aged man whose face was now covered with a white cloth. He was soaked, but didn't notice. If only you'd trusted me a bit more. Maybe it wouldn't have ended like this. Kaguya-sama. It's pouring outside. Staring blankly out the window at the rain, Kaguya Shinomiya stood motionless as Hayasaka spoke behind her. Shibuya Station is already flooded. I'm going. The president is definitely waiting for me. I have to go. Kaguya spun around and tried to rush out, but Hayasaka grabbed her. The president won't be there. Don't forget. Shibuya Station is flooded. Even if he wants to go, he won't be able to get there. You're right. Collapsing onto her bed in disappointment, Kaguya opened her phone. I'll just send the president a message. Say I'm not coming. Then do it. Hayasaka looked on in confusion as Kaguya froze, her fingers motionless over the screen. But what if he's already there? That means I'd be standing him up. And it's the first time I'm texting him. What should I say? So annoying. Outside Shibuya Station, Shirogane Miyuki stood beside the Hikiko statue, freshly out of the station. He had gotten up early out of excitement and arrived ahead of time. It's a bit early. Guess I'll wait. But within minutes, the rain began. It quickly turned into a downpour. People scattered to find shelter. The once busy station square was soon deserted. Crap, I forgot to check the weather. Will Shinomiya still come in this rain? Probably not. Even so, Shirogane pulled out his phone. There was still half an hour until their meeting time. If Kaguya wasn't coming, she'd probably call or text. But the screen showed nothing. No calls, no messages. The rain pelted down heavily. Without an umbrella, Shirogane covered his head with a magazine he had on hand, barely shielding his hair. His school uniform shoulders were already soaked. Under the gloomy sky, he stood alone in the open square, holding a flimsy magazine over his head. The sight was undeniably pitiful. When the appointed time came, Shirogane sighed. Kaguya hadn't come. She hadn't called. Not even a single message. You're gonna catch a cold dressed like that. Just then, a coat was draped over his shoulders from behind, and the sensation of rain against his skin disappeared. Startled, Shirogane turned around. It was Takuman Renji, holding an umbrella for him. Renji. Shirogane let out a dry laugh. Sorry you had to see me like this. No, the one who broke the promise is Miss Shinomiya. She's the one who should be ashamed. Renji said with a smile. You knew she wouldn't come? When I saw the heavy rain, I figured as much. She's the Shinomiya family's heiress. Even if she wanted to come, her household staff would have stopped her. BC. Shirogane's phone vibrated. It was a message from Kaguya, apologizing and saying she couldn't make it today. See? I guess this is technically the first message she's ever sent me. Shirogane chuckled bitterly. Taking this long to send a message. Must be a muscle-to-brain coordination issue. Renji joked. So what now, President? Still going shopping? I have no choice. The welcome party for the French exchange student is tomorrow. If I don't shop today, there's no time. Fair enough. The two walked toward the mall under the same umbrella. Note, Need to double check the raw to make sure this is not one of those gay shit fics. Once we get there, change out of that soak uniform. You'll catch a cold otherwise. I know, but I brought extra clothes, Renji said, patting the duffel bag he was carrying. I figured this might happen, so I borrowed some clothes from your dad. You're always so prepared. It's reassuring. Shirogane smiled. As they entered the mall, he hesitated for a moment before speaking softly. Renji. I haven't been completely honest with you. Actually, I trust you. Eh? Seeing Shirogane frozen in place, Renji turned back with a smile. Can you trust me too, President? Of course. Then that's enough. Renji turned around and continued walking ahead. If you trust me, then I'll trust you too. No matter what you say, I'll believe you. Even if you hide some things from me, it's okay. Is that so? Shirogane stared at Renji's back, his fists clenched. The truth is, I'm not as perfect as people think. That image of the flawless student council president. It's all an act. The reason I can get top grades so easily is because I study several times harder than anyone else. Oh? That's still impressive though. And also, Shirogane Miyuki clenched his teeth as if he were summoning all the strength in his body. My feelings for Kaguya Shinomiya are real. I'm not doing it just to deal with student demands. I truly. Hey. You said you'd believe anything I said. Why are you giving me that? Are you joking? Look. Takeman Renji's expression was pure disbelief, staring at him like he was out of his mind. But is there really someone that insane who'd fall for the Shinomiya heiress? President, you're clearly not brain damaged. Hey. Kaguya isn't that bad. She's pretty popular at school, okay? Has everyone at Shuchen studied themselves stupid? That is not the case at all. Chapter 77, looks like you got the wrong person. Looks like we made it just in time. Yeah. Barely avoided disaster. On Sunday evening, the student council finally completed the setup for the French exchange welcome party. Seeing the students from both schools chatting happily inside the venue, everyone in the council breathed a sigh of relief. Good work, everyone from the student council. At the auditorium entrance, the principal raised a wine glass and gave a gentlemanly smile to the council members. Looking at the principal's carefree demeanor, Shirogane couldn't help but feel a little ticked off. Principal, next time give us more notice. Don't drop this on us right before the deadline. Haha. I got it. The principal chuckled, just about to say more, when a hand suddenly grabbed his head from behind. Principal. With a terrifyingly deep tone, Takeman Renji appeared behind him. You pushed all this work onto us with such short notice. Don't you think you owe us something? Eh? Renji-kun. Since the French exchange students are here, how about you demonstrate a bit of Japanese culture, Principal? A seppuku performance, maybe? I'll act as your second. Huh? Be sure to carve a perfect cross into your belly, or I won't grant you a swift death even if you scream like a pig. Wah. So scary. The principal had heard a few things about Renji from Sagra. He knew Renji wasn't joking. Alright, stop bullying the principal now. Sagra Kaya appeared behind Renji and gave him a light smack on the head. Pulling him aside, she smiled at the rest of the student council. Anyway, you all enjoy the welcome party. Okay. While Renji was dragged away, the remaining student council members, Shirogane, Kaguya, and Chika Fujiwara, entered the hall. Ishigami didn't come. Though a council member, he had some social difficulties. And since these were all French students and he couldn't speak French, he opted out. Watching the students in French uniforms, Shirogane whispered to Kaguya, "Do you speak French?" "Not really." Kaguya replied with a smile. "What about you, President?" "Hey." Shirogane grinned and said, "Comment allez-vous, mademoiselle, je m'appelle Miyuki Shirogane." "How are you, miss?" "My name is Miyuki Shirogane." "Oh. Impressive as always, President." Kaguya clapped softly in admiration. "I crammed with a travel guide last minute." "Bonjour." Suddenly, a French girl approached him with a greeting. "Merci beaucoup pour votre invitation." "Thank you very much for your invitation, Shirogane." He didn't understand. "Nous devons vous remercier d'être venus." Kaguya responded fluently. "We should be the ones thanking you for coming. Nous vous divertirons, j'espère que vous aurez des souvenirs inoubliables. We will entertain you and hope you'll leave with unforgettable memories. Merci beaucoup pour votre aide." "Thank you very much for your help, Shirogane." "Kaguya, you lying snake." Before he could stay shocked too long, Fujiwara's voice rang out, "La plupart des produits japonais ne sont pas parfaits sur le marché intérieur." Most Japanese products aren't perfected for the domestic market, so, Secretary Fujiwara, you speak French too? Yup. Chika turned to him with a cheerful grin. My mom's a diplomat, so I've been trained in several languages since I was little. So I'm completely isolated. Shirogane was on the verge of collapse. He was the only one in the hall who couldn't speak French. Damn it. Why did Sagra-sensei take Renji away? If he were here, at least I wouldn't be alone. President, were you looking for me? Eh? Shirogane turned and saw Takuman Renji standing behind him. Renji? Sagra-sensei let you go? Yeah. Aunt Kaya was just worried I'd say something reckless in front of the exchange students. But since I don't speak French, she figured I couldn't cause too much damage and let me go. I see. Seeing Renji here eased Shirogane's mind. At least now he wasn't completely isolated. There were two of them who couldn't speak French. Bonjour. Bonjour, je suis le comptable du syndicat étudiant. Renji said smoothly. Hello, I'm the student council's treasurer, passes en bonne journée au Japan. Hope you have a wonderful time in Japan, je vous remercie. Thank you, Shirogane. Renji. You speak French too? Nope, I just memorized that one sentence. That was true. Renji only spoke Japanese, English, and Chinese. He had never studied French. What about you, President? I know a little, I guess. Also true. He knew maybe one or two lines, tops. As expected of the president. No. Meanwhile, from a hidden corner of the hall, the principal was staring at Shirogane talking to Renji. Shirogane, do you know why I told you to organize the welcome party so late? It was a test. You're an excellent student, but whether you can lead as student council president still needs proving. This will be your final trial. The principal whispered, Becky. Yes. From the shadows emerged a French girl with a sly grin. That student council president. Go at him with full force. Are you sure? Don't hold back. That girl was Birdo-Eyes Becky, the vice president of the French student council. Known for her brutal debate tactics, people said her sharp tongue could kill. Which one is the president? That blonde guy with the fierce eyes. Shirogane Miyuki. I see him. Becky smirked and began walking toward her target. Oh right, he's wearing a gold pin at the collar. That's the president's badge, don't mistake. Wait, huh? The moment the principal said it, Becky was already gone. Headed into the hall. And she had clearly picked the wrong target. Blonde hair, fierce eyes. That has to be the one. She stopped in front of Takuman Renji and gave a twisted smile. Renji, confused, watched her approach with no idea what was happening. Chapter 78, You might have a bit of luck with girls. Bonjour. Becky greeted him first. That was her usual trick, to lull her target into a false sense of ease. Bonjour, avez-vous besoin d'aide? Hello, do you need help? Before Renji could finish, Becky suddenly snapped. Tai's toy. Ton franchise estate tellement nul que ça me fait chire, quel honte. Shut up. Your French is so bad it pisses me off, what a disgrace, Renji. To me rens ding, je iras la baldets baritons. You drive me crazy, I'm sick of your nonsense. Becky was going off in full blast, but in the shadows behind the stage, the principal was nearly pissing himself. Becky. That's not Shirogane Miyuki. That's Takuman Renji. The one beside him is your real target. He wanted to run out and stop her. But how could he explain it without revealing he had sent Becky to insult someone in the first place? If Renji found out. Principal, it seems you really do want to perform seppuku, huh? Nope. Not happening. I'll take this secret to the grave before stepping out there. The principal decided to wimp out and observe how things unfolded from the shadows. Becky continued her verbal assault when she saw that Takuman Renji wasn't reacting. But seriously, Takuman Renji's tolerance level is impressive. If it were me hearing all that, I'd probably be foaming at the mouth on the floor by now. Just what is? Wait. The principal suddenly realized something critical. Becky's verbal attacks were based on undermining her opponent's sense of self. She was a master of psychological warfare. Back during debate tournaments, she'd verbally wreck both students and adults into the igloo. Because of her brutal mouth, she had earned the nickname the razor who licks wounds. Her method looked violent, but it was essentially a test of patience. When her victims couldn't fight back with words and weren't allowed to use violence, most of them just crumpled under the pressure. But Takuman Renji was fundamentally different from all those people. Because when he wanted to hit someone, he would, regardless of time or place. And he didn't hold back. If the situation allowed, he'd even draw a gun and pull the trigger. Despite his usual calm demeanor, he was the kind of person who could kill over something trivial. Sagra-Kaya had already warned the principal about this. For someone used to operating outside the law, being good with words was meaningless. Before the other person even finished their sentence, they might be shot dead. Don't tell me. His silence isn't from patience, but because he's already thinking about how to make her die as painfully as possible? looking at Becky still going on and on in the auditorium and Takuman Renji whose expression was growing darker. The principal was now convinced of his theory. He genuinely believed Becky was seconds away from being splattered across the floor. This is bad. If an exchange student gets killed at Shuchin, I'm finished. But if I try to step in, I might get killed myself. And it wasn't just the principal. Even Shinomiya Kaguya, who had been chatting nearby, caught wind of Becky's voice. And clearly heard every single word she said. With a sympathetic look, she glanced at Becky. Poor girl. She must have just arrived in Japan. Well, at least she's saving money on the flight back home. At that moment, Becky finally stopped talking. She was a little puzzled. Normally, after such a long barrage, even the most patient person would have said something. Why hadn't he responded at all? Had she verbally stunned him into silence? She looked up, only to meet Renji's cold, shadowy eyes. No. No way. Is he actually going to hit me? Becky started to panic. Truthfully, she wasn't confident. She had no idea what kind of person this student council president really was. She usually picked her verbal targets carefully. Scholarly types with fragile pride. Breaking that kind of person gave her a sense of accomplishment. She was never dumb enough to provoke someone clearly dangerous. Originally, she thought the president of Shuchin's student council would be some refined, cultured intellectual. But now, she could feel it clearly. Murderous intent emanating from Takuman Renji. So scary. Becky turned toward the principal, who was wildly shaking his head, frantically signaling her to stop talking. He's really on the verge of snapping? Then, Takuman Renji reached into his pocket. And in that instant, Shinomiya Kaguya, the principal, and Becky all froze, their hair standing on end. He's reaching for a weapon? X3, Dasoli Dead Ranger. Sorry to bother you, Becky quickly bowed and bolted. She ran straight to the principal, stammering and sweating. I'm not going to be killed, right? Not for now. But you did narrowly escape death. Huh? The guy you just insulted isn't Miyuki Shirigane, he's Takuman Renji, the treasurer of the student council. If you had said even one more word, your head might have been blown open. That was close. Becky's face was full of relief, as if she had just escaped a near-death experience. Takuman Renji slowly pulled his hand from his pocket, his bangs hiding his expression. President. What is it? I'm so touched. That was the first time a girl ever talked that much to me. Huh? Well. Congratulations, I guess. But I'm really frustrated. If only I knew a little French, I might have understood what she was saying. As he spoke, Renji pulled a small French dictionary from his pocket. I was just about to look up what that girl was saying. And then she ran off. Not saying a word probably made me seem like some gloomy loser. No wonder she left right away. Well, that's... By the way, President, did you understand what she said? Not a single word. I didn't get all of it, but I can tell you this. Shirogane pointed to Renji with a bright smile. Your romantic luck is kicking in. Really? Of course. A girl talking to you like that means you're starting to attract women. Ooh. That's amazing. Even though we didn't understand her, I think she was probably confessing to you or something. Whoa, that's awesome. Too bad I don't know any French. Renji looked a bit frustrated. If that was some shy confession, I really missed my chance. Chapter 79, Shaozhou. After the French exchange student welcome party, the gym had to be cleaned up and everything packed away. Naturally, this kind of job fell on the student council. But it wasn't all that tough. They had the principal helping out, too. And the reason the principal was helping with manual labor? It had something to do with Takuman Renji. He didn't say a word. He just held a utility knife to the principal's throat the moment the guy tried to say, I'll leave the rest to you. Put signs and banners in the student council storage room. We might need them again. Tablecloths too. Got it. Everyone worked in an organized fashion. Renji and Ishigami were packing miscellaneous items. When Renji saw Ishigami struggling to lift even one box, he walked over and picked it up for him. Ah, thanks. No problem. Renji smiled. Ishigami, it's too bad you missed the party yesterday. I don't speak French. Neither do I, but I still got chatted up by a French girl. Seriously? Totally true. Shirogane added as he passed by carrying a box. A girl really did talk to Renji. Said a whole bunch of stuff right off the bat. Too bad we couldn't understand a word. That's great, though. If it were me, I'd probably be too nervous to say anything. Ishigami chuckled. Renji's already planning to study French with me. You wanna join? I'll pass. Shinomiya Kaguya was folding tablecloths nearby and overheard the conversation. She looked at Renji with a slightly exasperated expression, hesitating to speak. That girl was insulting you. And at the level of a slap to the face right from the start. I have no idea how you mistook that for flirting. She really wanted to explain, but she also knew Renji might not believe her. And if he did, what if that girl suddenly ended up accidentally dead? Yeah. Better to keep this one to myself. While the boys were still cleaning, Chika Fujiwara and Kaguya returned to the student council office with some supplies. What's this? Kaguya pulled something out of one of the boxes from the party. It was a book. With girls' comic written on the cover. Looks like a shoujo manga. Probably someone's stuff that got mixed in during the event. These are pretty popular with students. Fujiwara's eyes lit up. She glanced around to make sure no one was watching and whispered to Kaguya, this is a rare chance. Wanna take a peek? I remember you told me your dad is super strict about that kind of stuff. Totally. Fujiwara whispered. He has to screen every single romance manga I read. I can only keep reading if he gives it the okay. She looked at the manga in her hands. If he finds out I'm reading this, I'll definitely get chewed out. That's tough. Anyway, let's take a quick look. Fujiwara couldn't resist. She placed the book on the coffee table and opened it up. They never teach you this in textbooks. Eh? The moment they opened the page, both girls stared at the contents. A disheveled boy had cornered a blushing girl against the wall. I'm going to eat you. Ah. Kaguya slams the book shut. Fujiwara opens it again. Kaguya snatches it away. Fujiwara grabs it back. What the heck is this? Kaguya could not make sense of what she was seeing. Fujiwara stared at the book, nose bleeding. This is bad, Kaguya. This book is terrible. No wonder my dad banned this kind of stuff. I saw that coming. Click. Just as Fujiwara was reading with a red face and a bleeding nose, the door to the student council room opened. And Takeman Renji walked in, done cleaning. He entered to find Kaguya turning her head away in embarrassment, and Fujiwara reading a manga with a nosebleed. You two were reading manga while we were busy cleaning? No. Shinomiya Kaguya quickly shook her head. Only Fujiwara-san was reading. I wasn't involved at all. She hurriedly distanced herself from it. There was no way she wanted to be seen as the kind of girl who reads such indecent material. Whatever. Anyway, everything's already cleaned up. Takeman Renji sat down on the sofa across from them and pulled out his French travel handbook to start studying. Takeman-kun, are you planning to start learning French now? Yeah. I got talked to by a girl yesterday and couldn't understand a single word. I don't want that to happen again, so I figured I should learn a little. Fujiwara Chika suddenly perked up and looked excitedly at Renji. Takeman-kun wants to fall in love, huh? Well, I do, but I'm not in a rush. Then I strongly recommend this book. Huh? Renji took the manga from her hand with a speechless expression and handed her a box of tissues to wipe the nosebleed. Why would I learn about romance from a manga? Isn't this just for laughs? You can't say that. Having wiped away the blood, Fujiwara pointed seriously at Renji. Shoujo manga is targeted at girls. If you want to date one, you need to understand how they think. So this is actually a great reference. I see. Renji was successfully roped in. He casually flipped through a few pages. You're going to belong to me. His expression changed from surprised to confused. Then he closed the book and fell into deep thought. Do girls actually like this kind of aggressive attitude? I really don't get it. Of course. Alright then, let's do an experiment. Renji stood up and pointed at Fujiwara. Secretary Fujiwara, could you stand by the wall for a moment? Okay. Not knowing what he had in mind, Fujiwara skipped happily to the wall. Just as she got there, Renji suddenly stepped forward and slammed his palm against the wall beside her with a loud thud. Fujiwara's face turned red instantly. Renji leaned in close to her ear and whispered in a low voice, you belong to me. I'll never let you go. Alright, experiment complete. Secretary Fujiwara, you really react to this kind of thing. Whoa, your face is super red. Fujiwara, usually so bubbly and innocent, now looked completely flustered and shy. No way. I just copied the lines straight from the manga. Chapter 80, A Strange King Come. Fujiwara's face was red, and she didn't dare meet Renji's eyes. I'm weak to that kind of thing. Wait, seriously? I just recreated a manga scene. You're telling me your romance-obsessed brain can't handle that? Renji looked like he'd seen a ghost. He held up the manga and pointed at the handsome male character drawn on the page. Do girls really like this kind of guy? Treating girls like property? In America, that'd be called objectifying women, and you'd be dragged into a cancel war by Twitter activists in no time. It's not like no one likes that. Fujiwara mumbled with a red face. That whole wanting to belong to someone kind of feeling. It's not entirely unheard of. I'm shook. Unlike the blushing Fujiwara, Rinji's face had turned pale from shock. He quickly turned to Shinomiya Kaguya, hoping for confirmation that not all girls were like this. Kaguya immediately shook her head to distance herself. Looks like Secretary Fujiwara's the only abnormal one here. Rinji flipped through the manga again, stopping at a page where a shirtless guy was pinning a shy girl to the wall, saying, "I'm going to eat you. Can you really accept this kind of thing? A guy forcibly kissing you? He'd totally end up in jail." "Well, forcing might be a little much." Fujiwara fidgeted. "But if it's just a little assertive, I wouldn't mind being eaten." "Rinji." He slumped back onto the sofa, rubbing his nose bridge with his fingers in deep contemplation. This was a first for him. And not just for him. Kaguya had also been struck speechless by Fujiwara's outlandish statement. Neither of them had any prior experience with these kinds of unorthodox preferences. They found it disturbing and utterly incomprehensible. Deciding this place wasn't safe to linger, Rinji prepared to leave. Takumin-kun? What?" He turned his head, confused by Fujiwara's call. "Could we try out other scenes from the manga too?" "With who?" "Me. Can I say no?" But you acted so well earlier." "I was doing my best to be as unlikable as possible." "What part of that seemed good? And why do I have to be the jerk male lead?" Rinji stomped over, opened the manga, and pointed to the last page, which showed the male and female lead sharing a pair of earphones in a sweet, romantic scene. "Wouldn't it be better if I played a normal guy like this one? Feels like that role doesn't suit you. You're the one miscast, not me. I've always been totally normal." Then, seeing the image Rinji pointed at, Fujiwara suddenly smiled. A smug, slightly condescending smile. "So Takumin-kun actually likes those kinds of scenes. Not bad. You sound like you're teasing me." "Nothing at all." She shrugged. "There are some guys who like kid-friendly types of romance. It's kind of cute." Veins bulged on Renji's forehead. "Hey. Don't lump me in with toddlers. I haven't even roasted your bizarre kinks yet. Oh, I just think Takumin-kun is adorable. TCH. Clicking his tongue with disdain, Rinji suddenly snatched the manga from her hands and flipped through it rapidly, his eyes scanning every panel, pose, and line of dialogue. In less than a minute, he tossed the book aside and slowly approached Fujiwara. She backed away instinctively. Only to find herself cornered. Thud. Rinji slammed his palm against the wall next to her again, making her jump. When she looked up at him, her face started blushing all over again. Takumin-kun, you're not thinking. I want to run more experiments. I see, but the same move won't work twice. Before she could finish, Rinji gave a slight smirk. He gently lifted her chin with a finger and whispered, "Don't move. If you do, I can't promise what'll happen." He was quoting again. Fujiwara's face turned bright red, from her neck all the way to her ears. That line, combined with Rinji's performance, hit her hard. Of course, what Rinji was thinking was, that line actually sounded kind of normal. I think the cops in Manhattan told me that once when they had a gun to my head. Didn't expect a shoujo manga to have lines that realistic. He looked at Fujiwara, who had closed her eyes and was blushing deeply, her expression full of dreamy satisfaction. He realized again. He really couldn't understand this woman. So he upped the ante. He bent lower and whispered in a deep voice into her ear, "I want your body to be soaked in my scent. You'll never escape. You'll be mine for life. My woe. Holy shit. Who the hell wrote this line? Does the author have farts or brains?" The line was so cringe that even Rinji couldn't finish reading it. Takumin-kun, what are you doing?" Fujiwara opened her eyes and pouted. "I was really enjoying that. And then you just stopped. You were being so cool, and now it's ruined. You seriously thought that was cool? A guy with a punchable face saying punch-worthy lines is attractive? It really is." Fujiwara had genuinely been enjoying it. When Rinji acted out the manga scenes and quoted the lines, she felt like she was the heroine of the story. Unfortunately, some lines were too much even for Rinji, and he had to cut them off midway. "I think Takumin-kun has real talent. You're very trainable. Please stop. I've got a really bad feeling about this." Rinji had absolutely no idea how to deal with Fujiwara's preferences. Come to think of it, Takumin-kun doesn't seem to have much romantic experience, right? That makes you super moldable. With just a little training, you could totally become the perfect boyfriend. Hee. Don't come any closer. I'm warning you, stay back. Chapter 81, Volleyball. Rinji, don't you think the student council's atmosphere is kind of weird? What's weird about it? The next day after school, Rinji, Takumin and Ishigami were alone in the student council office. Chika Fujiwara and Kaguya Shinomiya had gone to their club activities, and Shirogane was nowhere to be found. That left Ishigami and Renji to finish up student council duties until the last of the students went home. The only weirdo in the student council is Fujiwara. The president's normal, and the Shinomiya heiress. Well, I don't like her, but she's not weird. I've been here for almost 2 months now, and nothing's felt off. I don't think Fujiwara-senpai is weird. But Shinomiya-senpai. Something's off about her. Oh? Renji's gaze sharpened. Tell me more. Ishigami pulled 2 tickets from his pocket and handed them to Renji. I found these taped to the back of the coffee table. They were hidden there with tape. Let me see. Renji took the tickets. They appeared to be complimentary coupons for a cafe. At first I thought it was just some kind of prank. But when Shinomiya-senpai saw me holding them, she threatened me not to tell anyone. She threatened you? Renji's eyes gleamed coldly. That heiress is going down a dark path. It wasn't that serious. Ishigami waved his hand. Shinomiya-senpai is usually nice. She helps me out with student council tasks I don't understand. It's just. The relationship between her and the president seems a bit complicated. Shirogane and the Shinomiya heiress, huh? Renji remembered that when he and Shirogane had gone shopping together, Shirogane had admitted he had feelings for Shinomiya. Shirogane definitely liked her. But as for whether Shinomiya felt the same, Renji couldn't say. He wasn't exactly skilled at reading women's emotions. If these tickets were something Shinomiya prepared in advance, what would that mean? Nothing too serious. There's definitely something going on between her and Shirogane, but it's not a big deal. Renji casually crumpled the tickets and said, anyway, she told you not to talk about it, right? Yeah. Ishigami didn't really get it, but he figured Renji had his reasons. Renji, you're not going to club today? No. Momo-senpai had some trouble at her family's casino, so she went home early. You mean Ryuju-senpai from the Yakuza family? I've heard of her. I didn't expect you to be in the astronomy club, though. Calling it astronomy club is a stretch. Momo-senpai just lounges on the rooftop playing mobile games. It should really be called the Rooftop Mobile Gaming Culture Society Club. That's a weird name. Buzz. As they chatted, Renji's phone buzzed in his pocket. It was a message from Shirogane. Renji, are you still at school? Come to the gym tonight. Come alone. Don't tell anyone. What's up? Ishigami asked. Nothing important. What time is it? 5:30. School gates are closing soon. Let's lock up the student council room and head home. Sure. At the entrance of the massive gym, muffled sounds of volleyballs bouncing and thuds from heavy falls could occasionally be heard from inside. School had long since let out, and the area around the gym was deserted. Renji arrived at the door and pushed it open. President, you called him. Bam. The moment the door opened, the first thing he saw was Shirogane, dressed in sportswear, smacking face first into the floor with a heavy thud. You okay, President? Ugh. Oh, it's you, Renji. Clutching his sore face, Shirogane relaxed a bit after seeing it was Renji. Renji looked at him, then at the volleyballs scattered all over the gym. Were you playing volleyball? You called me here for a match? No. The second years have volleyball class next week, and I needed some practice. I see, so this is practice. Renji nodded, understanding. So, you called me here to practice with you? More or less. The truth is, I'm really bad at volleyball. If I mess up in class, it'll ruin the competent image I've worked so hard to build. Shirogane said with a sheepish smile. There was a reason he called Renji in particular. To maintain the perfect student council president persona, he couldn't let anyone see his weaknesses. Except for Renji. Shirogane trusted him 100%, and didn't mind showing vulnerability. Also, in Shirogane's eyes, Renji was a true genius. Someone he could rely on. I get it. So which part of volleyball are you struggling with? Serving. I guess. Alright, I'll give you a demonstration. Renji, still in his winter school uniform, hadn't even changed into sportswear. He picked up a volleyball and tossed it lightly into the air. With a powerful jump, he spiked the ball high, sending it rocketing like a missile across the court. Wham! It slammed into the floor on the opposite side of the net. Amazing. That's basically pro level. Shirogane exclaimed. That's an exaggeration. It's just average high school level. Renji grinned and tossed the ball to him. Your turn, President. Alright. Shirogane caught the ball, focused, and tried to copy Renji's form. He tossed the ball high, jumped, and swung, and smacked himself on the back of the head with his own hand. The blow knocked his head forward into the ball, and he face-planted hard, tumbling several times across the wooden floor before coming to a stop. Renji. President. Shire again got up and brushed himself off with a weary expression. As you can see, Renji, I suck at sports. I always mess up at the last second. That was putting it mildly. No, President. Renji walked over, clapped a hand on his shoulder, and said, the fact that you can do such physically impossible movements just proves you're extremely gifted. Really? Chapter 82, The First Client Wump. Thud. Clatter. Watching Shire again repeatedly attempt to serve, only to keep smacking himself in the head, Renji started to feel the severity of the situation. Realistically, no matter how bad someone's coordination was, this level of bodily betrayal defied biology. Who hits the back of their own head during a serve? Even if you tried, you wouldn't generate any power that way. And yet, Shire again managed it. Flawlessly. Truly, he had mystical bone structure. President, if you keep practicing like this, it'll only get worse. Renji sighed and helped him up off the floor again. So it really is that bad. Let me put it this way. Thanks to all your part-time jobs and biking to school every day, your stamina isn't an issue. What's lacking is coordination. And that takes long-term training. Can I improve enough before next week's class? If you just rely on practice, probably not. Renji frowned. And I'm not a professional volleyball coach. If I coach you blindly, I might actually mess you up long-term. Hold on, let me see if I can find someone. He stepped aside and pulled out his phone. After a few minutes, he returned. I just contacted a friend. He said he might be able to get the head coach of Japan's men's volleyball team to train you. How's that? And no need to go that far. Shire again waved his hands, embarrassed. I just need to not embarrass myself in class. Renji's connections still surprised him. He had no idea how deep Renji's network went, but clearly the ceiling was very high. So you're in a rush to get this done before next week's class, huh? Yeah. It's because all the second years are together for that class. Including Shinomiya. She's the one person I really don't want to look pathetic in front of. Ah, the Shinomiya heiress. Got it. Renji smiled. Don't worry. Leave it to me. Thank you, Renji. I really appreciate it. Shire again was sincerely grateful that Renji was always willing to help. But President, your coordination issue is serious. To improve quickly, aside from professional coaching, we'll also need some kind of support system. And with just a week to work with. His eyes suddenly lit up. I've got it. Where are we? This is where I work now. I had to leave my previous part-time job, so I'm stationed here. Takeman Renji led Shire again out of the gym and over to a massive company building. A large sign hung out front, reading, AZAC Future Science and Technology Co. Limited. This is a scientific research institution. Coincidentally, there's a product under development inside that might be able to help you. Come on. Without giving him a chance to refuse, Renji dragged Shire again through the entrance. This institute, disguised as an ordinary joint stock company, was actually the research organization. It used to focus on military applications, but in recent years had gradually transitioned to civilian technology. Inside, people in white lab coats walked about in a steady flow. When they saw Renji, still wearing his black school uniform, they greeted him respectfully. Good to see you, advisor. Renji nodded, then pointed to the confused Shire again beside him and said, this is my school's student council president. He's having some difficulties. Bring out that experimental exoskeleton and prep the test site. Understood. As the researcher walked off, several others began making preparations as well. Before long, Renji brought Shire again to a cleared open space where many precision instruments and several digital control panels had been set up. Renji, what is this place? I'm getting you some assistance equipment. A group of masked technicians carried over a large metal frame and stood beside Shire again. They began attaching the joints of the exoskeleton to his limbs and torso. Before long, Shire again was encased in a layer of metal scaffolding. What's this? A civilian-use exoskeleton developed by the company. It was shelved due to lack of market demand, but now that you're in a bind, it's the perfect opportunity to repurpose it. Renji made an OK gesture toward a group of researchers monitoring the screen. They nodded and flipped the switches on the console. Beep. Lights blinked on across the exoskeleton now attached to Shire again. Renji picked up a volleyball from nearby and tossed it to him. Try serving. Alright. Though the exoskeleton looked heavy, it was made from titanium alloy and surprisingly light. Shire again tossed the ball into the air and jumped, swinging his arm down hard. Whack! He missed the ball entirely and slapped himself in the face. What's the assessment? Consultant, based on our readings, I'd say the subject has no future in sports. One of the researchers pointed at a 3D motion model on the screen. Just look at this motion trajectory. If I hadn't seen it myself, I'd think it was made by a third-year animation student. So, can't the exoskeleton compensate for that? Well, consultant, the powered exoskeleton is designed to enhance the user. If the user has no skill to begin with, then recalibrate the exoskeleton. I've been thinking. This prototype might work as a support tool for people with poor coordination. That could work, but we'd need to make major modifications. Then do it. Analyze pro athletes' movements and input them as data for the exoskeleton. Understood. With the order given, the researchers busied themselves modifying and recalibrating the device. Say, advisor. About your friend using the product for testing. Obviously. Why else would I bring him here? What I mean is, this would make him the first human test subject. And since he's got poor coordination, we'd want to collect a large amount of data. Oh. After a quiet discussion, Rinji nodded and walked over to Shire again, who was still awkwardly trying to get used to the equipment. President, the staff needs to make some adjustments. And since you need the help anyway, they want to know. Are you willing to be a long-term test subject? Being a test subject. If it'll really help me, then I don't mind. You won't be doing it for free. The pay is 10,000 yen per hour. LL Chapter 83, starting gambling at such a young age because the exoskeleton's software had to be rewritten and motion capture data from professional volleyball players still had to be collected. The engineers would need about 3 days of intensive overtime to complete the upgrade. During that time, Shire again could clock in daily, run some tests, and collect a paycheck. Rinji. What's up? Are you sure 10,000 yen an hour is okay? Shire again looked uneasy. If they're only paying me that much because I'm your friend. He hated the idea of gaining something at someone else's expense. It went against his principles. President, everything you're doing contributes to the progress of science and may influence the company's future strategies. 10,000 an hour is more than fair. Rinji replied. Really? Of course. Have I ever lied to you? No, you haven't. Rinji had always been honest with him. Shire again believed in him. But when he thought about it, on one hand, Rinji was helping him overcome a physical flaw, and on the other, he was getting paid 10 times the normal hourly wage. It felt a little too good to be true. Rinji himself was directly involved in the exoskeleton's redesign, spending the entire night helping build the new system. As a result, he spent most of the next school day yawning. This continued until after school. Yawn. You look exhausted. I am. Rinji rubbed his eyes. I was at the institute all night working with the tech team to revise the system. It wiped me out. After class, he went to his usual low-activity astronomy club meeting. Momo Ryuju was still lounging on her inflatable mattress on the rooftop, but today she wasn't playing mobile games. Instead, she was fiddling with a deck of playing cards. What's up, senpai? No gacha games today? Out of money? No, I already grinded through the event. She said this while continuing to sort the cards. But soon, she scowled and threw them to the ground, cards scattering everywhere. TCH, I can't figure out her technique. You seem really pissed. While she sulked on the air mattress, Rinji knelt down and helped pick up the fallen cards. You heard about what happened yesterday, right? Yeah. Some trouble at your family's Shinjuku casino. You skipped astronomy club. Though honestly, I've never seen this club do any actual astronomy. A girl came into the casino yesterday and won 30 million yen. Oh, 30 million? That's pocket change for your family. It's not about the money. Momo growled. If she was cheating, I'm not letting her off easy. You've got a good temper. If someone took my money, even fair and square, I wouldn't let them off. Rinji chuckled. So what happened exactly? Some girl around my age came to the casino and played blackjack. After losing her first 2 hands, she started winning every single game. Momo frowned, recalling the events. It was ridiculous. Nearly every round, she got the perfect hand. There's no way she wasn't cheating. So you think? Rinji picked up a card and waved it in front of her. She tampered with this deck? Exactly. She handled the cards, so I'm guessing she left some kind of mark. Sorry to disappoint you. Rinji tossed the deck back in front of her and sat cross-legged on the floor. She wasn't cheating. You were. What? Seeing her shocked face, Rinji smiled. The casino rigged the deck during the shuffle. They prearranged the card order for a guaranteed win, assuming one-on-one blackjack. So long as the cards followed that sequence, the house couldn't lose. Then how did she win? She noticed the pattern and used it to her advantage. Rinji said. Like continuing to hit after getting 20, throwing a few games on purpose to shift the sequence in her favor. I see. Of course, your dealer wasn't an idiot. To prevent losses, he probably used a second deal. Drawing the second card from the top instead of the first. But if she noticed that trick, and had strong mental calculation skills, she'd know the card underneath. So, all your fancy cheats backfired. You know a lot about gambling. I used to play cards with my old man at home. He taught me all sorts of cheating techniques. He took 70 cakes and countless snacks from me over the years. Said it was to teach me the cruelty of society. You never really talk about your dad. Was he a gambler? Not exactly. But apparently, years ago. Before I was born. He went into a no-man's-land casino, pulled a huge cheat, and won several 100 million yen. The local gang boss came after him. What happened? He didn't get to keep a single yen. Rinji shrugged. Figures. Black market casinos don't play nice. My dad brought a team and wiped out the entire casino. No one was left alive. Still didn't find anywhere to exchange the chips. Gambling's a bad habit. I usually tell people to quit. Rinji pulled a cigarette from his pocket and stuck it between his lips. Quitting gambling? Sure. Quitting smoking? Let's not go that far. By the way, do Japanese casinos actually allow high schoolers in? Gambling at such a young age. No doubt they'll be betting on national policy when they grow up. Sounds like a future pillar of Japan. Ordinary high schoolers wouldn't be allowed in, of course. But there's one school that's an exception. Huh? You've heard of Hayaka Private Academy, right? It's a school for training gamblers. That girl happened to be wearing their uniform. Chapter 84, Call the Police. After 2 days and nights of overtime reworking the system, the custom-built support exoskeleton for Shirogane was finally completed. After school, Takam and Rinji brought Shirogane back to the institute. As before, they returned to the same cleared-out testing area and had him put on the titanium exoskeleton. Alright, beginning the experiment. Rinji picked up a volleyball and tossed it toward Shirogane. Seeing the ball flying at him, Shirogane instinctively closed his eyes and swung his arm in the direction of the ball with all his strength. Thud. This time, he didn't hit his own face. Instead, his hand struck the ball squarely, sending it flying directly toward Rinji. Smack. Rinji casually deflected the ball with one hand and clapped. Looks like the test was a complete success. With this gear on, you've finally reached a normal human skill level. I did it? Shirogane stared in disbelief at his own hands. For someone who had never even managed to touch the ball before, this was a milestone. Try the others. Bump, block. This exoskeleton was programmed with motion data from several Japanese pro athletes. Even though Shirogane still had zero motor coordination, the system allowed him to perform at a professional level. He went through a series of movements, and one after another, completed them perfectly. Looks like it's a success. Yeah, but is it really okay to use this thing in class? Shirogane looked down at the heavy-looking gear on his body. I can't exactly wear this thing to gym, can I? Of course not. I already told you, this is your training tool. Rinji explained. Starting today, you'll wear this gear every afternoon after school to practice. It'll adjust your movements, and gradually will reduce your reliance on it. By the time we take it off, your body will have learned proper form. You'll be a real athlete by then. Oh. That's great. And one more thing. Rinji pulled out his phone and showed Shirogane a photo. This is you while serving. In the picture, Shirogane was serving with a textbook perfect motion. But his eyes were tightly shut the entire time. My eyes were closed the whole time? Yep. Start getting used to keeping your eyes open while playing. Okay, I'll work on it. That's it for today. Yawn. Rinji couldn't help yawning. The all-nighters working on the system had worn him out. He'd been sleepwalking through morning classes. But now that it was finished, he could finally rest easy. Shirogane continued training at the institute. He even took leave from his part-time job for a few days. Both to prepare for volleyball class and because training here counted as work, with much better pay than his usual job. For now, there wasn't much left to worry about. With his backpack slung over his shoulder, Rinji walked down the street, bleary-eyed and half asleep. He was planning to head back to his room and collapse into bed. Buzz. His phone vibrated. Annoyed, he pulled it out and saw the caller ID, Momo Ryujo. Hello? Senpai, there's no club activity this late, right? Don't tell me the astronomy club is actually planning to look at stars tonight? It's not that. That girl from yesterday came to the casino again. Can you help me out? I'll give you a tip. Rinji said listlessly. What? Call the cops. Report an underage girl gambling in a casino. Let them detain her. You do realize we're Yakuza, right? You're telling a gang to call the police? You think I don't know how the Japanese Yakuza operate? When things get dicey, you guys are quicker to call the cops than regular citizens. Rinji yawned. Or if that's too much trouble, handle it the traditional Yakuza way. Stuff her in a barrel, fill it with concrete, and toss it into Tokyo Bay. Why do I feel like you sound more like a gangster than us? Just kidding. Compared to me, your Yakuza methods are still a bit too tame. Rinji chuckled. So what exactly do you need from me? If it's burying a body, forget it. I've got nothing against the girl. I want you to come here and gamble against her. Momo said. Come on. She's a trained gambler. I'm just an amateur. It won't change anything. Still, like I said, the most effective way is to call the police. And where would that leave the Ryujuzu clan's reputation? Then tell me this, senpai. Do you want money, or your face? I want both. Fine. Send me the address. Great. That's the Rinji I know. Still as reliable as ever. Spare me the flattery. Let's be clear. I'll help you, but if I win any money, I get a 10% cut. Only 10%? That's plenty. I don't care about making money from gambling. Rinji rubbed his eyes, his gaze sharpening. Because making money this way is just too boring. By the time he arrived in Kabukicho, Shinjuku, the sky had already darkened. This was Tokyo's, and Japan's, largest red light district. As night fell, the street overflowed with desire. Rinji stepped out in front of the rather large casino. Oddly enough, when the staff saw him enter wearing a school uniform, no one tried to stop him. Instead, they bowed politely. Welcome, young Master Rinji. Don't call me that. Is Momo-senpai here? Yes, the young lady has been waiting for you. Then let's go. Inside, the casino was filled with people. Some playing slots, others huddled around card tables. There were smiles and despair everywhere. As Rinji scanned the floor, a crisp voice called out to him. There you are. Oh, Momo-senpai. Wait, why are you wearing a kimono? Is this a Yakuza princess thing? Momo Ryuju had traded her school uniform for a red kimono, giving her a refined and elegant air. Of course I'm not wearing my school uniform. What if the school found out I came to a casino? Then I'd get another month of suspension. Only you would treat suspension like vacation. Momo sighed and pointed toward the largest card table in the room. She's over there. Let me take a look. Rinji followed her gaze and saw a girl in a red school uniform. Long black hair, tall figure, black stockings accentuating her shapely legs, and a flawless face with a faint, unreadable smile. She seemed to be waiting for an opponent. Okay. Call the cops. Why did you even come? Chapter 85, Texas Hold'em. Rinji straightened his collar and walked toward the gambling table. The staff all recognized him. As he approached, they subtly cleared a path. Seated at the table, Rinji sat down and carefully studied the girl before him. She was beautiful and elegant, but he wasn't interested in that. That uniform. You're from Hayaka Private Academy, aren't you? Yes. The girl smiled. Though I haven't officially enrolled yet. I just got the uniform early. Classes start the day after tomorrow. There really are schools like that, huh? Teaching kids who aren't even grown up how to gamble. Is that so? I've always thought gambling was a wonderful thing. As she spoke, she licked her lips, savoring the thought like a gourmet dish. I've never found any enjoyment in such a tedious game. Then. Are you my opponent today? The girl's expression was still unreadable. Actually, I came here to gamble with Miss Ryuju. Is that so? Rinji smiled slightly. Do you know the rules around here? What rules? If you want to challenge the house, you have to pass through the gate first. Beat me, and you can challenge anyone else in the casino. Rinji said. Fine by me. It doesn't matter who I play. Let's enjoy the thrill of the game. Thanks, but I won't enjoy it. Rinji replied. So, what's your game? Blackjack? Something else? Texas Hold'em poker. Alright. The dealer had arrived and began shuffling the cards. Rinji glanced at him and said offhandedly, shuffle properly. Don't stick your pinky in. The dealer froze. He had been using a common casino trick, false shuffling. After drawing the top few cards and placing them at the bottom, he held them with his pinky to keep the order intact. After a fake shuffle, the prearranged top 15 cards would remain unchanged. He'd intended to help Rinji win, but hadn't expected to get caught before the game even started. The girl sitting across from him revealed a faintly intrigued smile. What's your name? Takuman Rinji. My name is Jabami Yumko. Let's have ourselves a proper gamble. Sure. I'm in a hurry to get home and rest, so let's settle this quickly. Unlike blackjack, Texas Hold'em has so many variables that it can't be solved with simple mathematics. The opponent's hand, the burn card, the turn, and the river are all unknowns. Even if Rinji used a technique to mark the cards manually, if his marked card happened to match the one in the opponent's hand, it would be clear cheating. Before the deal, both players placed their bets. Rinji and Yumko each put down 5 million yen in chips. After shuffling, the dealer dealt each of them 2 cards, burned 1 card, and then placed 3 community cards on the table. The flop was 2, 4, and 9. Rinji glanced at his own hand, 3 and a dot. He looked at Yumko sitting across from him. She was still wearing her composed smile. Time to bet. Yumko nodded, pulled out a suitcase from under the table, undid the latches, and dumped it out. Thick bundles of 10,000 yen bills spilled across the table. 30 million yen. All in. The surrounding casino guests gasped. What? 30 million yen? A high-stakes gamble. Momo, standing behind Rinji, frowned and leaned in to whisper in his ear, "You confident you can win?" "Not even a little." "Got it." Momo straightened up and signaled her men, "Bring the money." Several men in black nodded and brought out metal cases, dumping large stacks of cash onto the table. "We're also going all in. 30 million. Rinji. Did you not hear what I just said? I heard you say you're not confident. And you're still betting? If you lose, you'll just pay with yourself." Rinji had a feeling he was getting played. Looking at Yumko again, her decision to go all in so recklessly made no sense. In standard poker strategy, even beginners know to bet only when their odds of winning are better than the pot odds. Yesterday this girl supposedly won 30 million, and today she's betting it all? In poker, one of the simplest probability rules is the rule of 4 and 2. On the flop, outs times 4, and on the turn, outs times 2. With his hand and the known 3 cards, he would need either of 9 remaining spades or 3 threes. 12 cards total. If Yumko was holding something weak like a pair of 10s, then even just drawing an ace would let him win. Add in the remaining 3 aces, that gives 15 possible outs. According to the rule, his odds of winning were about 60%. But in a pot that only had 10 million yen, betting 30 million on a 60% chance was near suicidal. Takuman-kun, you're probably thinking my decision to bet all 30 million is irrational, right? Yumko smiled. I'm not really concerned. Momo-senpai is just as irrational. And that's the joy of gambling. Huh? Yumko licked her fingers seductively, a touch of madness flickering in her eyes. That's what makes it exciting. Gambling is madness. In a world where money equals power, gambling is abnormal. But it's precisely that abnormality that makes it so pleasurable. The more insane the gamble, the more fun it is. Rinji lowered his head. His golden bangs obscured his expression, but the sinister smile forming on his lips was unmistakable. Does dancing on the edge of life and death really bring you joy? Of course. It's addictive. I get it now. What girls like you need isn't education, but despair. Rinji smiled as he slipped a ring onto his finger. Let me show you what hell feels like. Chapter 86, Gambling with Life. Rinji had always found gambling, especially card games, utterly boring. Because to him, it was far too easy. He could alter suits and numbers at will. Whatever hand he wanted, he got. In card games, he basically had no rivals. Basically. Because there was one exception, his father. Everything Rinji knew about marking and cheating with cards, he had learned from his dad. Now, he was sitting across from a girl named Jabami Yumko, both having placed a base bet of 5 million yen and gone all in with 30 million yen. In this moment, Rinji couldn't help but remember playing cards with his father back home. Rinji, 4 of a kind. Dad, 4 sixes. Rinji, bomb. Dad, joker bomb. Rinji, double joker bomb. Dad, quadruple joker bomb. 5 minutes later. Rinji, straight flush. Dad, royal flush. 15 minutes later. Rinji, blue eyes white dragon. Use burst stream of destruction. Dad, magic cylinder, no mercy. Rinji, damn it. I've collected all 5 cards. I summon Dark Grandmaster. Dad, look closely. One of them is Kuriba. Rinji, what? When did it change? That was the vibe. No logic, no mercy. Just chaos between father and son. Miss Jabami, I'll give you one last chance. Rinji said coldly. If you fold now, you walk away with 30 million yen. But if you insist, I'll have to teach you a lesson. No need. That's what makes this fun. I see. The two of them fell silent as the dealer continued. After burning a card, the dealer placed the 4th community card on the table. 5. Would either of you like to raise? Rinji, I raise. 10 million. Dealer, confirmed. Rinji, in US dollars. What? 10 million USD. Over 1 billion yen. Excuse me, sir, do you actually have that kind of? The dealer hesitated, but Rinji calmly opened a transfer app on his phone and tossed it on the table. His account showed a balance of $23.21 million. Any problem? And no. Good. Rinji looked straight at Yumko. Miss Jabami, If you don't raise, you'll have to fold. So that's your strategy. Intimidate me into folding with sheer money. Yumko smiled faintly. Too bad. That's all I have. I can't raise anymore. No. You still have something to bet. Renji grinned. In war, countries gamble with their military, economy, and tech. On the battlefield, a soldier's gear, logistics, and reinforcement time are all bets. And the true chips in war are the soldier's lives. He tapped the table as his pupils turned a vivid, blood-red hue. Human life is the ultimate wager. You can bet your life. The onlookers were stunned. Did I hear that right? Betting her life? Is that really necessary? Even Momo frowned. She knew Renji meant what he said. As for Yumko, not only did she show no fear. Her cheeks flushed slightly. Yes. This feeling of stepping into the abyss with a single misstep. It's exhilarating. So what's your decision? You want me to stake my life against your 10 million USD? If I lose, what then? Am I your slave forever? No. Renji replied. I'm not betting on your future. Just your life. If you win, you get the 70 million yen plus the $10 million equivalent in yen. But if you lose... Slam. Takeman Renji slammed a pistol onto the table and locked his crimson eyes on Jabami Yumko. I'll blow your head off with a single shot. This gamble wasn't just about money. It now concerned Yumko's life. Want to back out? Fold now and you only lose 35 million yen. No debt, no consequences. But if you lose, your life is forfeit. Oh? But there's another possibility. Yumko smiled. That I win, and take your 10 million USD and 35 million yen. You're not going to win. Renji signaled to the dealer with a glance. The dealer, visibly nervous, trembled as he placed the final card on the table. 9. The total stakes, Renji's 35 million yen plus 10 million USD. Yumko's 35 million yen. And her life. Time to reveal. Yumko turned over her cards. 9 and 9. With the community cards being 2, 4, 9, 5, and 9. That made 4 of a kind. The crowd gasped. In Texas Hold'em, the odds of drawing 4 of a kind are about 1 in 4,164. Renji chuckled. I have to admit, your luck isn't bad, Miss Jabami. Why, thank you. Even with her life on the line, she showed no fear. Now it was Renji's turn. He flipped over a and 3. Along with the community cards 2, 4, and 5, that made a straight flush. The odds of drawing that? About 1 in 64,973. He hadn't even marked the cards. He'd won purely by chance. You lost, Miss Jabami. I did. Yumko sat back in her chair, glanced at the pistol on the table, and closed her eyes with a smile. Go ahead. Pull the trigger. A bet was a bet. No matter how brutal, it had to be honored. You don't need to tell me. Renji picked up the pistol, aimed it at Yumko's head, and put his finger on the trigger. No one dared stop him. The entire room held its breath. Yumko suddenly spoke, still smiling. Takeman-kun, you're doing this because you want me to stop gambling, right? You won't succeed. Gambling is my life. I'll never give it up. Yumko said with a smile. So I want to place one final bet. What are you talking about? You're about to die. I bet there's no bullet in your gun. Chapter 87, not too much to ask, right? I bet there's no bullet in your gun. Oh? You still want to bet? Renji's gun remained aimed at Yumko's head. Yet she showed not a trace of fear. Your life belongs to me now. You want to gamble? With what? Earlier, I staked my life to match your 10 million USD bet. If I lose this one. Yumko smiled, I'll give you 10 million USD before I die. Interesting. A grin crept onto Renji's face. You guessed right. I never intended to kill you. I just wanted to make you feel the fear of death, so you'd give up gambling. But clearly, that's impossible. Of course it is. Yumko's smile turned disturbingly giddy. That thrill of dancing on the razor's edge. That's what makes gambling so exhilarating. Then I guess I'll have to show you what hell is like. Renji smirked sinisterly. Too bad. You guessed wrong. There is a bullet in the gun. By you. Oh. Yumko clutched her forehead in pain, and a small plastic BB pellet rolled across the floor. This is just a toy gun. The bullet was a BB. But a BB is still a bullet. So now, you owe me 10 million USD before you die. Though judging by your situation, I doubt you have it. Renji set the toy gun aside, walked over, and pulled out his phone. After a few rings, the call connected. Hello? Hi, at Bauleika? Renji, calling me at this hour. Do you want to hire us for an assassination or something? A hoarse, mature woman's voice answered. No, I've got a girl who owes me a massive debt. Think you can sell her in your shop? We'll settle the debt in installments with whatever she earns. As he spoke, Rinji glanced at Yumko. Big chest, round hips, pretty face. What do you think? How much does she owe? 10 million USD. Rinji, I'm friends with your dad, so I'll be straight with you. Balaleka said. Even if I make her work 24 hours a day until she breaks, she won't earn 10 million. Eh? Really? Think about the market. You can hire someone for a hit job for under 10 grand. You expect to recover 10 million? How long do you want her working? Fine. Then check black market organ prices for me, will you? Now I'm just curious. Who's the girl bold enough to owe you money? A new student at the Hayaka Private Academy. You know, that school where no one studies and everyone gambles. Oh, that school? Yeah, I've heard of it. Really? You have? A lot of Japan's financial and political elites send their kids there. If she's from that school, her family probably has money. Just demand payment from her parents. Fair point. Thanks. Anytime. Come visit Ronapur sometime. I'll treat you right. Maybe when school's out. After a bit of casual chat, Rinji hung up. Momo, watching, asked curiously, who are you just talking to? The Russian Mafia's branch in Thailand. One of my dad's old friends. Rinji replied. He looked back at Yumko. Now then, how exactly do you plan to repay that 10 million USD? I hear students at Hayaka are usually rich. Can't you call home? My parents are deceased. I only have one sister left, and she's in the hospital. I pay her medical bills every month. I see. Rinji thought for a moment. An older sister bedridden with a serious illness. There's no way she could repay the debt. Should he just harvest their organs? I actually have a proposal. Yumko suddenly said. Let's hear it. I'll be attending Hayaka soon. There are tons of opportunities to gamble there. Within 1 year, I'll repay both the 10 million I lost and the extra 10 million I bet with my life. You still won't give up gambling? Never. It's why I exist. I should have killed you already. You can if you want. My life belongs to you. Yumko placed her hand on her chest and smiled. You can take it anytime. But until then, I'm your slave. You can do whatever you want with me. Sounds like a good deal for me. Rinji chuckled, then turned to Momo. Do we have a computer and printer here? Upstairs. She led him to the second floor of the casino. A few minutes later, they returned, Rinji holding 2 contracts. He slapped them onto the table in front of Yumko. First contract, you must repay 20 million USD. About 2 billion yen. Within a year. If you fail, I'll sell you and your hospitalized sister to settle the debt. Deal? No problem. Yumko smiled. What's the second contract? The second one wipes out your debt completely. You won't owe a thing. What's the catch? A lifetime ban on gambling. Not too much to ask, right? Understood. Without hesitation, Yumko signed the first contract and sealed it with a fingerprint. She didn't even glance at the second option. Choosing the most brutal path with zero regret. In some ways, I have to admire your willpower. Thank you. After signing, she tossed the pen aside, walked up to Rinji, and smiled. So, Takuman-kun, what would you like to do with me now? I'm your slave, after all. You can do anything. Anything? Of course. All right then. Rinji patted her on the shoulder. Our research division's short on test subjects for a new drug. You seem like a great fit. Time to contribute to science. Chapter 88, so you're really giving up on being a good student, huh? In the end, as the crowd in the casino made way, Jabami Yumko calmly walked out after leaving behind 2 IOUs. Originally, the local thugs were urging to teach this troublemaking girl a lesson, but since neither Momo nor Takuman gave the order, they let her go. She owes you 20 million USD now. Momo frowned. Should I have someone keep an eye on her? No need. Takuman chuckled and casually pulled a cigarette from his pocket, lighting it with ease. If she wanted to cheat, she could have just chosen a second contract. But setting morality aside, I do admire people who follow through on their convictions. Are you really sure she can come up with 20 million USD in a year? Who knows? But if she can't manage it in the time limit. Takuman Rinji's eyes narrowed slightly, then I'll just have to deal with both sisters according to the agreement. Momo looked a little startled and glanced in the direction Jabami Yumko had left. You've become a lot gentler than before. At least you know how to restrain yourself. Look at your eyes. They're red again. She pulled a small mirror from who knows where and held it up to Rinji's face, revealing a pair of dull red pupils reflected in the glass. Huh? When did that happen? Right when you slammed the toy gun on the table. I remember it clearly. When we were little, your eyes were always red, and bloodshed always followed. You really intended to kill Jabami Yumiko back there, didn't you? I wouldn't say it was a killing intent exactly. Renji smiled, I just don't like gamblers, that's all. He blinked, and his red eyes turned black again. Renji's red eye condition was said to be congenital. His father told him it was a viral genetic disorder, but neither of his parents ever had it. To this day, he still didn't know why he was born with red eyes. Thanks to his father's help, his eye color had turned back to black as he grew up. By the way, that girl added you online, right? Yeah. Said it was to help me keep tabs on her debt repayments. As soon as he said that, Momo suddenly placed a hand on his shoulder. You're not planning on doing anything indecent to her, are you? What do you mean? Never mind. Momo shook her head and gave a small smile. Anyway, thanks for saving the casino. It's nothing. When Takam and Renji walked out of the casino alone, he passed by a narrow alley. His pupils once again turned red, glowing faintly in the darkness. Gentler? More self-controlled? Crack. He placed his delicate-looking hand on the concrete wall beside him. With one squeeze, the wall cracked under his strength. I guess I really have changed. I have the student council to thank for that. His red eyes faded back to black again, and a gentle smile appeared on his face. Enjoying this kind of peaceful life once in a while. It's not bad at all. I think I finally understand why my old man gave everything up to go live in the countryside. After a good night's sleep, Renji spent the next few days supervising Shirogane Miyuki's special training at the research lab. Wearing the exoskeleton for 5 hours of daily training, Miyuki began practicing without the gear during the last 2 days for real matches. Despite his poor coordination, Miyuki managed to play normal matches after just 2 days of unassisted practice, relying purely on his talent and determination. The research staff were honestly amazed. So amazed, in fact, they decided to refine and package the exoskeleton for commercial use. After all, Japan's research institutions hadn't produced any decent consumer tech since the early 21st century. The new product name, the idiot-proof athletic genius body adjustment exoskeleton. The R&D team got busy with product planning and market research, while Renji and Miyuki resumed attending classes. Today, second years had PE and the activity was volleyball. Miyuki donned his gym clothes, tossed the ball lightly into the air, and then smashed it with full force. Boom. The ball exploded across the net before the opponents could even react. Points scored. That was awesome. As expected of President Shirogane. Smart and athletic. He's the total package. So handsome. The second-year students sitting on the sidelines clapped enthusiastically as they watched the match. Outside the gym window, Takam and Renji nodded in satisfaction. Looks like my efforts weren't wasted. Hey, which class are you from? Huh? Renji turned around to find a stern-looking PE teacher standing beside him. Teacher, I was just watching the game. I asked, which class are you in? Class 3B. Don't lie to me. You're clearly a first year. Wow, you figured that out? Cut the crap. I know who you are. The student who got suspended for fighting. Back at school and already stirring up trouble? You're reading too much into it. I really am just watching the game. It's class time. Exactly. I'm skipping class to watch. You little. So you don't plan on being a good student, huh? Ah, sensei, look. Someone in the gym is playing on a game console. Where? Thud. Just as the teacher turned his head, Renji chopped him in the neck, knocking him out cold, then dragged the unconscious man into a nearby bush. There. Peace and quiet. Back in the gym, Miyuki scored another point with a powerful spike. The match ended with a 25-7 score. His team had won. As a crowd gathered around him, Miyuki seemed to notice something and waved toward someone. The direction he waved? Straight toward Class A, where Shinomiya Kaguya sat. Kaguya blushed and waved back shyly. What she didn't know was that behind her, through the glass window, stood Takam and Renji, who had watched the entire match. The person Miyuki had really been waving to was him. Chapter 89, Love Consultation. And who might this be? A classmate. Came to consult me about something. I see. Takam and Renji and Shirogane Miyuki sat side by side on the couch, across from a slightly awkward second-year boy. So, what exactly are you here for? Love advice. Miyuki replied. Got it. My weak point. This one's all yours, Prez. Wait. Don't run. Renji had just started to stand when Miyuki yanked him back down. The boy hesitated for a moment before speaking. The thing is, I heard the president has tons of experience in love, so I came to ask for help. I see. Renji nodded, then whispered to the sweat-drenched Miyuki beside him, didn't think you had such a hidden skill, Prez. Not at all. Miyuki hissed back. I have zero romantic experience. Then just tell him. And what if he spreads it around? If the class finds out that the president of Shuchin's student council is a virgin, my image is toast. For some reason, being a virgin was looked down upon in Japanese high schools. I get you, Prez. As long as you understand. Before Miyuki could finish, Rinji slammed his foot on the coffee table and yanked the boy up by the collar. You punk, you got something against virgins? Want me to beat you into tears right now? What? Calm down, Rinji. Miyuki rushed forward to restrain him, pulling him back just in time. The boy gasped, his shirt collar slackening as he collapsed back onto the couch, breathing heavily. Ahem, my bad. I lost my temper there. Hope you don't mind. And no, not at all. What's your name, by the way? My surname's Tanuma. Tanuma Tsubasa. Nice to meet you, Tanuma. My name is... I know who you are. Tsubasa said. Takuman Rinji, the first-year exchange student. You're actually kind of popular among the girls in our year. Oh? Really? Rinji felt rather pleased. He'd assumed his status as a transfer student with a suspension record would make him unpopular. Of course it's true. I mean, you're part of the student council and you've got a ridiculously cute... Before he could finish, Rinji hoisted him up again by the collar. Say that again, you little punk? You got a problem with my rugged, manly face? Want me to beat you into tears again? Wah. Calm down, Rinji. Miyuki was quick to react and dragged him back again. Prez. Don't worry. Ask me anything. Miyuki placed a reassuring hand on Rinji's shoulder. When it comes to love consultations, you can count on me. I've never been dumped. That was technically true. After all, how can you be dumped? If you've never dated anyone? Well, Rinji had been dumped. He was one of those who got rejected before he even confessed. As expected of the president. Tanuma Tsubasa exclaimed in admiration. To them, Shirogane Miyuki was practically an all-powerful figure. So, what exactly do you want advice on? Well, there's this classmate in our class named Kashiwagi Nagiza. I want to confess to her. Shirogane. Takuman Rinji. That bold? You're young and clearly haven't suffered yet. Tanuma hesitated for a moment, then mumbled, but... I'm afraid of being rejected. Wouldn't it be better to get to know her better first before confessing? Listen to me. Don't confess. Takuman stood up, walked behind Tanuma, and patted him on the shoulder. You'll absolutely get rejected. Huh? You think spending time together will help, but that's just an illusion. In the end, she'll only see you as a good friend. And once you confess, you won't even be friends anymore. How could that happen? Tanuma held his head in despair, visibly distressed. You were right to come to the student council before confessing. We specialize in pulling naive youngsters like you out of their misery. Why bring unnecessary pain on yourself? That's enough. Rinji, sit down already. Shirogane quickly stepped in before Tanuma's spirit could be completely crushed. So, do you and this girl have any sort of connection? Connection? Tanuma thought for a moment, then clapped his hands. She gave me chocolate on Valentine's Day. Shirogane, oh. Takuman, could have just been obligatory. Right. Then. What should I do? Tanuma fell into confusion again. I can't tell if she actually likes me or not. If I confess without being sure? In that case. Shirogane thought for a moment. How about writing her a love letter? That way, even if you get rejected, it won't be face to face. Great idea. But my writing skills are really bad. I can handle that. At that moment, Takuman Rinji raised his hand confidently. Rinji, you can write love letters? My mom used to work at the post office ghostwriting letters. I've got experience. Really? That's amazing. Tanuma's face lit up. Takuman grabbed some paper and a pen from the student council desk and began writing. His handwriting was neat and practiced. Done. Let me see. Shirogane and Tanuma both leaned in to read. I like you. Let me do H things to you. Tanuma Tsubasa. This is totally not okay. Is that what a love letter is supposed to be like? Simple and clear, with a direct message. I even stated my final objective. Rinji clearly hadn't realized his mistake. And another thing. Wouldn't signing your name directly be a bit too much? Tanuma said hesitantly. If you don't sign it, how will she know it's from you? I mean, it's kinda embarrassing. Okay, I get you. To avoid her recognizing the handwriting and tracing it back to the student council, I'll just avoid writing altogether. Isn't that a little extreme? Without waiting for a response, Rinji grabbed scissors from the desk and began cutting with a loud snip-snip. Done. Satisfied, he handed the finished product to the two of them. I've been watching you for a long time. Let's be together. This should be fine, right? Tanuma, the wording is normal enough, But, Shirogane, why did you cut the letters out of a newspaper? It looks exactly like a ransom note. Chapter 90, Wall Duang. Maybe skip the love letter idea. A real man should have the guts to fight head-on. Shirogane knew that if they followed Rinji's method, never mind if the girl accepted Tanuma, it wouldn't be surprising if she called the cops instead. As expected of the president, Tanuma praised him, completely forgetting it was Shirogane who suggested the love letter in the first place. But, I've never confessed to a girl before. I don't even know how. Let me be honest. Confessing is a death sentence. Takuman said bluntly. You'll get rejected like a joke, become the talk of the girls in school, and end up a running gag. You can forget about holding your head up in high school ever again. That can't be. Hey, Rinji, tone it down a bit. Shirogane whispered. Rinji's confession trauma was clearly terminal. Even Shirogane didn't know how to cure it. But if you really want to take a gamble, I do have a method. Please tell me. Tanuma immediately perked up. In a shoujo manga that Fujiwara lent me, there's a scene where a guy corners a girl against a wall, slaps his hand on it with a loud bang, and then confesses while she's flustered. I doubt how practical it is, but Fujiwara seemed to love it. You could give it a shot. Oh. Thank you, Rinji. But, I can't really picture it. What does it look like exactly? Specifically. We'd have to demonstrate. Prez, could you? Prez? What's wrong? Takuman turned around to find Shirogane staring at him in disbelief. So it already exists? Huh? I thought I just invented it and even named it Wall Duang. But it's already a thing? Yeah, it's been around for a while. Still, the fact that you came up with it on your own means you've got a pretty sharp mind, Prez. Thanks for the compliment, Rinji. Shirogane quickly collected himself. Anyway, what were you trying to say? Tanuma doesn't know how to do the Wall Duang, so I thought we could show him. Ah, sure. Let's do it. Alright. The two stood up. Takuman leaned against the office door while Shirogane stepped in front of him. Alright, Tanuma, pay close attention. No idea if this move actually works, but it's all about the form and the details. Watch and learn. Got it. I'll study carefully. From the look in Tanuma's eyes, he was genuinely serious. Okay, Prez, you're up. Alright. Prez, go already. Takuman urged. I'm building the mood. It's a bit difficult. Shirogane's face had been red for a while and he was still hesitating. Hurry up, Prez. We're both guys. What's there to be afraid of? Why, you were right. Even so, every time he looked at Rinji's face, Shirogane couldn't help but feel flustered, despite knowing he was a guy. I get it now. Tanuma suddenly chuckled. Rinji is just too cute, so the Prez can't help. You little punk, you trying to die? Want me to come over and chop you up? I was kidding. Please spare me. Tanuma immediately chickened out. Forget it. Prez, let's switch places. Oh, okay. The two switched spots. Shirogane leaned against the door while Takuman stood in front of him. Takuman took a deep breath, then slammed his hand against the door next to Shirogane's head with a loud bang. Shirogane blushed furiously as Renji smiled and said, Bang. Absolutely not. The door burst open violently, sending Shirogane flying backward. Only to be caught by Takuman in time. Everyone turned to see Shinomiya Kaguya standing there, face flushed, eyes teary. Shinomiya? Shinomiya heiress, you are here? This kind of thing. Kaguya pointed at the two of them, trembling. This kind of thing is absolutely forbidden. What are you thinking? We were just demonstrating a confession technique for someone. Of course I know that, but... Wait. Rinji's eyes suddenly turned sharp. You just said of course I know, right? That means... You've known everything that was happening in the student council office from earlier. Well... Kaguya looked away, sweating slightly. You were eavesdropping, weren't you, Shinomiya heiress? This is... But you came at the perfect time. Takuman Renji suddenly grabbed Shinomiya Kaguya by the shoulders and pinned her against the door. Just as Kaguya was trying to figure out what was going on, Renji turned to Shirogane Miyuki and said, now that we have a guinea pig, President, use her to demonstrate. Shirogane Miyuki, huh? Shinomiya Kaguya. Sounds pretty good, actually. On the surface, Kaguya looked shy, but inside, she was overjoyed. Having Shirogane Miyuki caved on her and confessing afterward. Wasn't this exactly the scene she had always dreamed of? I misjudged you, Takuman-kun. You're a good kid after all. In that moment, her old family feud and the fear from years ago were completely cast aside. Since it's for the sake of helping out a fellow student, I suppose there's no other choice. Right, President? You're not wrong. Kaguya enjoyed watching Shirogane's bashful, red-faced expression, waiting for him to finally confess to her. Thank you, everyone from the student council. Suddenly, Tanuma Tsubasa stood up. Just now, I've fully understood how this technique works. Kaguya, huh? Tanuma, no need to demonstrate any further, I've grasped all the details. Kaguya, wait. Tanuma, I'm going to confess to Kashiwagi now. Thanks, everyone. With that, he excitedly dashed out of the student council office. Kaguya. Chapter 91, Someone, bring me my sword. Ishigami, I'm feeling really lost right now. What is it this time? I've realized that the mediocrities at this school can't properly judge my appearance. Why did you suddenly go quiet? No reason. Just thinking that there must be quite a lot of mediocrities in this world. Ishigami and Takumin Renji were currently playing console games in his room. This had become a staple of their post-student council routine. Unlike normies who had packed social schedules, ever since the two had met, their gaming habits simply shifted from single-player to multiplayer. Is it because my hair's too long? Maybe I'd look better with a buzz cut. Please don't. You look fine as you are. Ishigami quickly stopped him. Besides, you're not the type to care about how others see you, right? That's true. But I do think I look too skinny. I need to hit the gym and bulk up a little. Renji nodded thoughtfully while holding the controller. You seem plenty strong already. Not like someone who hasn't trained. My strength's above average. I've done some physical training in the past. But it doesn't show. So I think I should work on my image. Working out sounds like a good idea. Ishigami said. What kind of build are you aiming for? Like The Rock. Ishigami tried to imagine Renji's face on The Rock's massive body. And immediately grabbed Renji's shoulders, his face filled with panic. Renji, I'm begging you. Don't do that. Huh? Why not? It'd look totally off. Just imagining it feels wrong. Fine. I'll just look up some nearby gyms for now. Renji pulled up his map app and searched for gyms in the area. Doesn't seem like there's any good ones nearby. Oh wait, found one. Silverman Gym. It has decent reviews. I'll check it out later. If you're really worried about your image, maybe you could try asking the drama club. The drama club? Why? They occasionally do stage plays around campus or in the harbor district. If you land a male lead role, it might help improve your image with the other students. So that's how it is. Pretty clever idea. The next day, with the thought of giving it a try, Takumin Renji headed to the school's drama club. Originally, their main actor, Koujano, who'd played many roles, had mysteriously vanished thanks to Renji's antics. Now the club was short on talent. Renji had already compensated them with some extra funds last quarter, but money alone couldn't replace missing talent. When he reached the drama club's activity room, he knocked on the door. Come in. Upon hearing a response, he opened the door. The room inside was dim, but still visible. Most of the drama club members had taken off their uniforms and were wearing costumes. Hello, I'm looking for. Before he could finish, a shocking scene unfolded before him. Shinomiya Kaguya stood in the middle of the room in a white outfit, holding a kitchen knife stained with red. Her face and clothes were splattered with blood. Lying on the floor was Fujiwara Chika, a red stain on her chest, eyes lifeless, a trickle of blood at the corner of her mouth. Shinomiya heiress. I didn't expect you to go this far. Wait, Renji, this is a misunderstanding. Kaguya shouted. I knew it. I always knew you'd do this eventually, but I didn't think it would become a school tragedy. What do you mean you knew? Such a shame. Renji shook his head and crouched next to Fujiwara Chika, holding her hand. Huh? There's still a pulse. Chika suddenly sat up, giggling. Shinomiya killed me. You scared me. So you're not dead after all. Hey. You seriously thought I killed her? Kaguya exclaimed, stunned. Ahahaha, it's all thanks to Kaguya's excellent acting. Chika said, handing Renji a stack of flyers. This is the drama club's new play, Women of Love and Hatred. A story of a wife and a maid scheming against each other for a man, ending in tragedy. I see. I should have figured Shinomiya heiress wouldn't make a move in such a public place. I wouldn't do it in private either. And you really did believe I was a murderer. Just as Kaguya was about to give Renji a piece of her mind, the drama club president walked over, smiling. Ah, if it isn't student council's Renji. What an honor. What brings you to our drama club today? Problems with club funding? Or looking to retrieve the girls? Actually, I'm here for personal reasons. Renji got straight to the point. I'm interested in acting. Do you have any roles suitable for me? Now that you mention it. The president nodded thoughtfully. Since Ojino vanished, and a few others quit recently, we've been looking for new members to fill the gaps. That's why we reached out to the girls from the student council too. Ojino's disappearance was my fault. If there's anything I can do, let me know. Perfect? The club president snapped his fingers. Before summer break, we're putting on a new version of Sleeping Beauty. Without Ojino, we'd love for you to play the lead role. I'd be happy to. The lead? That must mean the prince, right? Not exactly the solo action hero he was hoping for, but if he played it with enough swagger. Here's the script, Rinji. Take a look. Sure. Rinji accepted the script, but the moment he glanced at it, his expression changed. Kaguya and Chika peeked over and, upon seeing it, both burst into laughter. Let me just ask. What role did Ojino originally play? The prince who wakes the princess with a kiss. And what role am I playing? The sleeping princess. Someone. Bring me my sword. I'm cutting that bastard down today. Chapter 92, Where should we go for summer break? President, I think we should cancel the drama club's budget next semester. Huh? Why? Back in the student council office. Everyone was present except Ishigami, who had left early. Kaguya smiled. Because the drama club wants Rinji to play Sleeping Beauty. Now it makes sense. Shirogane Miyuki finally understood why Rinji came in today with such a grudge against the drama club. The club presidents lost it. Rinji muttered with disdain. He couldn't stop fuming every time he thought back to that moment. Back then, the president said, Rinji, the way you shouted someone was so majestic. Truly like royalty. You're perfect for playing the princess. If Fujiwara Chika and Kaguya hadn't stopped him, that president would probably be hobbling around school with a cane by now. Whatever. I'm docking their budget. Let that guy learn his lesson. Geez. Rinji, you're so petty. Fujiwara Chika slung her arm over Takemen Rinji's shoulder and grinned mischievously. It's just being cast as a princess, right? Plenty of girls don't even get that honor. You should be grateful, Rinji. Is that so? Takemen Rinji gave Fujiwara Chika a sidelong glance and said flatly, I was originally planning to move the drama club's next semester funding over to the tabletop gaming club. But the drama club president really went too far. Rinji's clearly a true man. How could they make him play a princess? Chika suddenly declared with righteous indignation. Shinomiya Kaguya. Chika, you really don't hesitate when switching sides, do you? Alright, let's put the budget discussion aside for now. Shirogane Miyuki finished stamping the last document and looked around at the student council members. In just one more month, summer break starts. Any plans? I'd like to organize a student council group activity. Japan generally follows a 3-term school system. The first term runs from April to the end of July, followed by final exams and summer vacation. Second term starts in September and ends before Christmas, then winter break. The third term begins in early January and ends in early February, followed by spring break. Currently, they were still in the first semester at Shuchin Academy, but summer break was fast approaching. President, don't you have to work part-time during vacation? Rinji asked. I can spare a day or two. I don't have any specific plans. I'll go along with whatever you arrange, President. Though Rinji did want to visit the war zone and reunite with his battle-worn brothers during the break, the route to the front had been completely blocked by Sagrakaya. Summer vacation. Just hearing the word made Fujiwara Chika instantly excited. Compared to studying and work, going sightseeing and playing outside was much more up her alley. I want to go to Hawaii. What if the student council organized a trip there? Shinomiya Kaguya, Shirogane Miyuki. The two of them clearly had no intention of agreeing. Kaguya wasn't allowed to leave the watchful eyes of her family due to her background. As for Shirogane, where would he find the money to leave the country? Chika, oblivious to their reactions, turned to Rinji. Rinji, you're originally from America, right? You could show us the best places in Hawaii. Oh really? Then can you show me around Hokkaido, Chika? I don't really know much about Hokkaido. Perfect. I don't know much about Hawaii either. Just because I lived in the US doesn't mean I know every city like the back of my hand. Rinji shrugged. Besides, I don't want to go to Hawaii. Why not? Personal reasons. Rinji looked off to the side. His identity as a Chinese-American citizen had been completely fabricated by Yu. While it was said that he had lived in the US, in truth, he'd spent less than 100 hours total on American soil. And he knew full well. If he ever set foot on US territory again, Homeland Security, the FBI, and even the CIA would immediately be on his trail. Things would get very complicated, very fast. Let's just find a place in Japan to enjoy our break. I agree with Rinji. Said Shirogane. As long as they didn't go abroad, anywhere was fine. Shirogane definitely didn't want to blow all his hard-earned part-time money on plane tickets. Do you have any suggestions, President? How about going hiking and camping in the mountains? Shirogane proposed a very budget-friendly idea. Camping in the mountains, huh? That's actually not bad. Then, let's go to the beach. At that moment, Kaguya, who had remained quiet, suddenly spoke. Huh? The beach is great. There are plenty of coastal spots in Japan. There's even one in Tokyo, and I happen to own a private villa there. I've already hired a chef too. Kaguya said with a smile. It's too hot to go hiking in summer. Takuman Rinji, you're such a pampered rich girl. This is for the student council's sake. That was a lie. Her real plan was to seduce Shirogane Miyuki in a swimsuit during the student council's beach trip. However, she failed to notice the look of panic on Shirogane's face. I absolutely can't go to the beach. I can't swim. If Kaguya finds out. The beach sounds fun. Chika chimed in support. Shirogane, no, we're going to the mountains. Kaguya, the beach is more suitable. Let's vote. After a round of voting, Shirogane Miyuki and Takuman Rinji voted for the mountains, Shinomiya Kaguya and Fujiwara Chika voted for the beach. It was a 2-2 tie. Looks like we're at an impasse. There's still one person who hasn't arrived, right? There were 5 members in the student council. The one missing was Ishigami Yu. Rinji, give him a call and ask for his decision. Got it. Rinji placed his phone on the table and turned on speaker mode. The call went through shortly. Hello? Ishigami, we're trying to decide where to go for summer break. Beach or mountains? Why go to such a hassle? Ishigami said through the phone. As long as we're hanging out together, it's fine. There's going to be a fireworks festival nearby during the summer. Why not go there? Shirogane. That actually makes sense. Kaguya, you're right. Chika, sounds good to me too. Rinji. Then let's do that. Both the beach and mountain options were scrapped. In the end, the student council decided to attend the local fireworks festival for their summer trip. Chapter 93, The School Anthem. Takaki Sora Aogimaru. We lift our eyes to the vast sky above, Toki Fuji no Itadaki ni, to the distant peak of Mount Fuji. Every school has its own anthem, and Shuchin Academy was no exception. At the morning assembly, all of the high school students gathered in the auditorium to sing it together. As someone who had won a national gold medal for piano back in junior high, Fujiwara Chika, an undeniable musical genius, was appointed as the conductor. While the students sang the anthem, Chika casually scanned the crowd as she waved her baton. Then she noticed something strange. Shirogane Miyuki, the president of the high school student council, was moving his mouth like a puppet. But not a single sound came out. He was clearly lip-syncing and faking it. The president is lip-syncing the school anthem. After the assembly, in the music room. President, you big dummy. Reflect on your actions. Chika puffed out her cheeks, scolding the slightly embarrassed Shirogane. As student council president, how could you fake it during the school anthem? I'm reflecting. In other schools, students might slack off during the anthem, but not at Shuchin. Every Monday morning, the entire school sang together. And since Shuchin was a unified school system from elementary to high school, 99% of the students could sing it by heart. Not knowing the anthem was genuinely embarrassing here. I can't believe you saw through my perfectly practiced lip-syncing, Chika. You really are something. Well, I am the conductor. Chika said, frowning. Besides, if you keep faking it, someone's going to find out eventually. Even if it's annoying, you should at least memorize the lyrics. No, I've already memorized the lyrics. It's just. I'm tone deaf. So basically, you can't sing at all? Pretty much. Shirogane found it hard to admit. If the students ever found out he sang off-key. In his imagination. Ugh, that was awful. So the president sings out of tune, huh? Kaguya, so that's why he always lip-syncs. How adorable. End of imagination. The louder I sing, the more embarrassing it is. Being tone-deaf is no big deal. Chika suddenly said with a smile. I can help you. Really? Knock knock knock. There was a knock on the music room door. Chika went to open it and saw Sagra Kaya standing there. With Takuman Rinji in tow. Mr. Sagra? And Takuman-kun? Ah, the room's already taken, huh? Sagra scratched his head. I was planning to teach Rinji the school anthem. He still doesn't know it since he just transferred in. I see. Then leave it to me. Oh? That would be a great help if you're willing, Fujiwara. Leave it to me. Maybe it was her pride in her musical ability, but upon hearing that Rinji also didn't know the school anthem, Fujiwara Chika eagerly volunteered to teach him. Thanks, Fujiwara. I'll leave the kid with you. With that, Sagra left Rinji in the music room and closed the door, leaving Chika, Shirogane, and Rinji inside. President, you're here too? Yeah. Chika caught me lip-syncing and dragged me here for a scolding. I thought it was no big deal. This is not a small matter, Takuman-kun. Fujiwara-chika said with mock severity. Why are you here too? Did Mrs. Sagra catch you lip syncing? Or are you tone deaf? My case is a bit long to explain. Takuman Renji stroked his chin and adopted a thoughtful pose. I've been at this school for 3 months now, but on Monday mornings during the school anthem, I usually find an excuse to slip away and go smoke in the school garden. As the student council treasurer, how could you be doing something like that? Ignoring Chika's shocked expression, Renji continued, I was planning to sneak out again today, but Aunt Kaya caught me and dragged me back. I had to stay in the auditorium and sing the anthem with my classmates. Good thing she caught you. But as someone who transferred in from outside, I obviously didn't know the school anthem. So I sang something else I do know. You've got guts. What did you sing, Takuman-kun? The International. Huh? This man. In a capitalist country, in a school assembly where students were singing the school anthem. Sang the International. I sang it properly. Didn't go off key. That's not the issue here. And because I sang it loudly, Aunt Kaya apparently noticed again. You even sang it loudly? If Shirogane Miyuki's case was a matter of personal ability, then Renji's was a matter of mental state. Well then. I'm not too sure about your musical ability, Takuman-kun. Should I start teaching you from the basics like pitch? Don't underestimate me. I've said it before. I'm a genius. Renji glanced around. They were in the music room, where various instruments were stored, including a piano. He walked over to a nearby rack, picked up a violin, and positioned the bow on the strings. A melodious tune began to flow through the room. Light and graceful, at times like bird song, at times like a sweet serenade. The sound of the strings filled the entire music room.